All right. We should be good to go now. Can you hear me? Default speakers change the MacBook Pro. What the fuck? Oh my God. What the fuck? Right? It just like, yeah, it was working fine. I even heard it through my. Tried plugging it in again. Check.
All right.
Yep.
Much better.
I got you. We're good. We're good.
It never fails.
Yeah, I had to take down my studio for, dude, I had this fucking just nightmare happen where, so like my dryer vent got clogged and like my dryer stopped working. It was just like, you would have to run it like 3 times or 4 times. So like I had to run it for like 4 hours to get clothes to dry at one point. It was fucking crazy. So like I knew the vent was clogged. So I found a company on Facebook, which was my first mistake, that does like dryer vent cleanouts. And so they came to my house and they're like, oh yeah, we can do it, blah, blah, blah. And then they like take a camera and shove it down my HVAC vents, just my normal floor vents, They're like, oh, these are really dirty too. You want us to clean these? And they like give me a price. I'm like, fuck, that's pretty expensive. And they're like, well, were you military? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, was anybody in your family military? I'm like, sure. Why not?
Yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
And they're like, okay, well, we can give you 25% off. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I hire them to do all the vents. They come, and this is another mistake on my part. Like, I paid 20% down on the day that they came to do the diagnostic. So like I had already given them a bunch of money. Like the whole job was like $800. It was fucking expensive,
Jeez.
And like I think like 400 of it was the dryer vent or something like that. 300 or 400 was the dryer vent. And so they show up a couple days later, and I just kind of like go outside because my dog's a pain in the butt, and like I don't want him to be all over them while they're working. So like I go outside, and I don't really pay attention to what they're doing. I kind of just like let them do their thing, So they leave, and I go to test my dryer vent, test my dryer, and still clogged. I'm like, these motherfuckers didn't unclog the goddamn vent. Like, this is crazy. And it was clogged so bad that like there was barely any air coming out of the like the outside vent that's like by my HVAC system. Like you could put your hand on it and you could barely feel anything. So I know it's like fucking majorly clogged. So I'm like, this is crazy. And I go onto my cameras and just kind of like see what they did. And these motherfuckers, dude, just scam artists, just fucking scam artists. They vacuum my vents out with an just like a shop vac.
Shop vac.
Yeah. And then they stick a snake down the vent for like 5 feet, and they charge me like $40 or $50 a vent or something like that. So I'm fucking fuming. And then like I see the guy go, I don't have cameras like outside, but I see him go out my garage to clean the dryer vent. He doesn't even take the vacuum with him. He just takes the snake. He's out there for 2 minutes, and then he comes back in. I'm like, this motherfucker didn't even try to unclog the vent. So like I ordered one of the kits that they used, like one of the dryer vent kits that they used, and I like try and clean it myself. And you can't even stick the vent. You can only stick the snake in this far because my vent has 2 right angles on it. So like it's not even possible to clean the vent with the kit that they fucking used, essentially.
Of course, yeah.
And so I call them back and fucking just ream them on the phone. I'm like, you guys need to clean my vent. And at this point, I know they can't clean the vent. I know that they like don't have the capability to do it because you have to go underneath my house, drop the vent down, and like clean it while you're either under there or like take it apart and bring it out to clean it. Like that's the only way to do it. I know they're not going to do that because these guys are fucking idiots, and they're all immigrants too. Like they barely speak fucking English. They're like Middle Easterners of some fucking kind, which is annoying because come to our country and just rip people off. Like that's real great. This is exactly who we want immigrating into our country. It's fucking scam artists.
It's probably the 1Bs or H1Bs or whatever.
Who knows? Who knows? Well, we'll get to that in a minute, I think.
I was like, I know you
Anyways,
saw that latest update.
yeah. So, anyways, I get them to come back over the house. I'm like watching them try to clean the dryer vent and not be able to do it. So I'm like, so basically, you guys fucking scammed me. You know,
Yeah, whatever
the guy
company did for
said that
sure.
he cleaned it. You saw yourself that you can't clean it. Like it's not cleanable with the tools that you had to use. So you guys fucking scammed me. And
Yeah.
on top of that, I went onto my cameras and I noticed that you guys cleaned 6 feet of my HVAC vents. You advertised as an entire HVAC system clean out. You know, you didn't block off any of the other vents. Like you didn't use any specialized equipment. You used a fucking $20 kit that you bought on Amazon. And then also when you were in like my back bedroom on camera, you didn't even put the snake down the vent. You just vacuumed it and called it good. And they're like, "Oh, we didn't do that." I'm like, "It's on camera. Do you want to see?" You know? And
So
surprisingly, like I was doing all of this and I'm like filming myself talking to them because I'm planning on suing the fuck out of these people just in small claims court because I'm not paying you that much money, $800 to just scam me like that. No
yeah, to not
fucking
actually do the
way,
job.
you know?
Yeah.
And so the guy gives me like 300 back for the dryer vent like on spot. And he's like, I'm going to talk to the office and, you know, see what we can do about a discount on the rest of it. And I'm like, all right, like this better be worth it. Otherwise, there's going to be legal consequences because I'm not like just going to let you guys rip me off like that. You might be able to get by on people who don't know anything about construction, but I'm not a fucking idiot. And like, I'm just not going to stand for this. And
Yeah.
so I get a text message from the guy like 20 minutes later. He's like, oh, I'm coming by to give you the rest of your money back.
Full refund, huh?
Full refund, which is
All right.
strange, right? Like you
Especially if
would
they
think that,
did something
and
right.
I
Yeah.
didn't even ask for a full refund. I was going to ask for like, I was going to like, if I can get all but $200 of my money back, I'll be good. Like
Sure.
you maybe
Still, I'd be
did,
pissed, but
you maybe did $50 worth of work, but like rather than going to court and dealing with all this shit, I'll eat the 200, you know,
yeah,
but got the
yeah.
full money back. And I think it's because they were doing illegal shit. They were ripping people off like crazy and they didn't want a fucking lawsuit.
Damn. And so, why'd you have to take the studio down? Where like they had to go in through your
They
studio
had to
area
go
or
through my
something?
studio with a vacuum cleaner and like they just
So
were
for
too
no
stupid to
actual
be able to
reason at
go
all.
around my camera.
Jesus Christ.
Like, oh, I don't want to break your stuff. I'm like, just don't break it then.
Yeah, how about don't hit it or whatever. I mean, based on their services thus
Yeah.
far, I don't know that you could have trusted them to
I
go
was
around your
probably smart to take it down.
There you go. Yeah. Fuck, dude. That's shitty, but I mean, homeowner shit, right? You gotta. So did do you have a solution for cleaning out the vents? You doing it
Yeah,
yourself?
I did it
or-
myself. I went down under the house. I dropped the vent down. I dragged it to my crawl space, took it apart, brought it all out, you know, hosed it out in my yard, and then put it back in by myself.
Damn. All
The
that.
hardest part, actually, and like you wouldn't think this, like you would think like it's difficult working over your head with one hand. I was able to get it up into place fairly easily. Like I had some jack stands under there with me, so I like put it on jack stands and kind of like got it into place and was able to like install it in the right place relatively easily. It's you know that HVAC tape that's like metal tape that you wrap around like HVAC unit type of stuff.
Sure, like that silvery, like
Uh-huh.
reflective
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like an aluminum tape or something like that. Getting the sticky side, like the cellophane off of that was just a fucking nightmare.
Oh,
Like that was
fuck.
the hardest part for sure.
That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
what would you actually pay someone for the quote unquote like convenience fee of not having to do that part yourself?
I think
Like, what's
what
a fair
I would
market price?
pay, well, okay, what I would pay would be like $200, but what I think somebody would charge would probably be like 400.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus. For anybody.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Especially
Because
because, I
like
mean,
you got to crawl under there. It's tight under my like. If I was another 10 pounds heavier, I wouldn't have been able to get there because I'm getting fat and I had a hard time getting through one of the slots. Like to
well, you
get
got to
over
think
there.
those soccer
you know?
moms too that don't even know what
Yeah,
they're looking for, and they're getting
exactly.
underneath the crawl space. They're like, oh, there's spiders and it's dark and it's
Exactly.
damp. Like, that's
Exactly.
worth $200 easy right there.
Yeah.
Damn,
So
that's
like
crazy.
I would pay $200 to have somebody do it, but like I think it would probably be 4 to 5.
Damn, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos, man, that you fucking got it done yourself and didn't get scammed out of any money, despite them trying to vacuum out just the front
Yep.
vent.
Win-win. Win-win,
Yeah,
right?
win-win, honestly. I did. Well, I mean, at least I got it figured out. At least the studio's back up. So
Yep,
here we are,
we're
nonetheless.
ready to rip. I've got another fun story for you, actually, too. I've been waiting to tell this story on the podcast for a while
Hell
because I
yeah.
had to wait for my tenant to move out before I could tell the story because, like, I can't
Ooh.
tell it with him 20 feet away. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. Yeah, in case he's got like a glass next to
Uh-huh.
the next to the wall or something.
Exactly. Well, I don't have a door on my studio, so like my tenants can hear me right now, anyways. But I don't have a problem with my current tenants. This guy was he was a psychopath, dude. This guy was fucking a legit sociopath. So like I rent a room to this guy. I didn't meet him beforehand. Like I rented to him over the phone, essentially. Like he was out of town, but like he had a clean background check. Like he was a government contractor. So I knew that like was capable of passing a background check and he wasn't
Yeah.
like a felon or something like that.
Drug dealer,
So I
yeah.
rent to the guy. And, he tells me he's an ex-ranger and that he, does government contract security work for railroads and whatever. So he gets to my house on the first day. He's a little guy. He's like maybe 5'7", 5'8", 120, 130 pounds. I'm like, you don't look like a fucking ranger. Like right off the bat, I'm
I
kind of
didn't
like,
realize I came in size small.
yeah, extra small, right? And dude, within like 20 minutes, he's like bragging about killing people in the Middle East,
Okay.
which is a red flag. Like
I was
right
like,
off the
yeah,
bat.
that's what everybody who's ever been overseas immediately tells the first person they meet, right?
Yeah. So like this is a
Very
total
normal.
red flag, like right off the bat. I'm like, this guy is either a fucking liar or he's psychotic because like
Mhm.
that's just not something you brag about. And then so like I had a contractor over here like doing some work for me a couple of like weeks later. And my contractor's one of my buddies. So like we're bullshitting like while he's doing the work. And the guy comes out and my buddy starts like talking to him. And he does the same thing, starts bragging about killing people. And my buddy's like, dude,
What's he saying? Like, oh, I have so
dude,
many KIAs or whatever,
it's not that. He's like
confirms.
we're talking about guns, and he's like, oh yeah, I used that in the Middle East, got a lot of kills on that one, stuff like that.
Okay. Just like offhand, yeah.
Yeah, it was just fucking weird, right? And he's got like big eyes, so he's kind of like fucking looks like he's on fucking meth a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
Adderall or something.
Yeah. And so just my buddy's like, dude, there's something fucking off with that guy. And I'm like, I know, man. Like either he's just psychotic or he's a complete fucking liar. Cause like I went to school, like when I went to line school, a lot of the guys that I went to school with were right out of the military. And the guys that talked the most had seen the least.
Mhm.
You know what I
Usually.
mean by that,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
and one of my roommates when I was in school, he had actually like seen action. He was a machine gunner on a helicopter. Like he wipes
Yeah.
a lot of people out with a machine gun and like seen some shit, And there was one guy that was just like always running his mouth. He's like, that guy's full of shit. Like I don't know what he actually did in the military, but he's full of shit. Like
Yeah, he didn't do
the
what he
guys
said
that
he
talk
did.
like that just the guys who did shit like that don't talk like that. It's just not how it is, And so
100%.
like that was kind of the feeling I was getting with this guy. And he kept telling me like weird stories about like being in a sniper's nest above a baseball field because they were doing some delivery on a train that was, could be used as like nuclear materials and just like, making himself out as like 007 or something. I'm just like, this guy's fucking weird. But like, I don't know, like maybe they do that type of stuff. Like for all I know, the government hates us. So would they unload like dangerous materials from a train near a baseball field with kids playing? Sure. They don't fucking care about us. Right. So like,
I guess
maybe,
but
I don't know. Like you would think maybe they would do that at night when there was nobody playing baseball. But again, like, I don't really know. And then he tells me this fucking beauty of a story. He comes in, he's like, yeah, man. So I was working at this rail yard today, and we've been having problems with like homeless people stealing copper out of the whatevers. I don't remember what he said, but they're stealing copper. So I had some downtime, so I decided to track him. So I tracked his tracks through the woods, and I found this meth lab that they had going. And so we got our guys together and we raided the meth lab. And then I chased one of them into the woods and shot him. And then I blew up the meth lab with a grenade.
oh my god. Okay, all right, that's it. Last final straw, dude.
And I'm like, I'm like, wow, good for you. You know,
No,
like
you had to be
at
like look
this
him in the
point,
eyes,
like I don't want to lead on that I know that this guy's full of shit because he lives in my house and he's armed. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm
I
just like,
guess,
wow,
but
good for you, man. Like that's great. You know, dude, I watch body cam video. In like he sees me watch body cam video. Like, does he really think that I'm gonna buy that shit?
I mean, most of those. I mean, so you're saying sociopathic because he's just like a almost pathological liar.
Yeah.
He just has that
And he
disconnect
like
between
wants
when.
to inflate his importance, you
Yeah,
know?
100%. Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
saving the
a lot of
world.
those, a lot of those guys. Yeah, a lot of those people just don't even. I don't know that they even register what they're saying until somebody catches them or somebody like calls them out. They're like, "Oh, it's like the $20 lure kind of a guy." Every time he's telling the story, it's like the bigger
Yep.
lure, and then you tell the story, and he's like immediately tells a story that's exactly the same story,
Mhm.
but it was with
A
him.
little bit bigger.
Yeah, exactly. It's always those types, and they
Yeah.
don't. I don't know that they register it or
It's
I don't even
wild,
know.
right?
It's such
Like
a weird. It's such
it's
a
like
weird. Like I don't know. It's a weird concept to think about, but
yeah, and they just think people buy their bullshit because they're heroes, you know?
or maybe they're just like a NPC. Maybe they're not fully there. They
He's
just
a
have their.
hero in his own mind, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
type
just
of
playing his
thing. And
programming.
like
That's all he's doing.
it's fucking crazy, right? Like
Oh
and
yeah.
so when he moved out, like all my bedding was gone out of the room that he was renting and I rent out fully furnished rooms, so I like text him. I'm like, "Hey man, I want my bedding back." And he was like doing this like weird just like passive aggressive bullshit. So like it gets hot here in Idaho in the summertime. It's, some days
Mhm.
it's 105 degrees outside and my house gets hot and like the bedrooms get hot. There's just not really anything you can do about it. And like I think he was getting pissed off that like his room was hot. So he was leaving my laundry room door and my garage door open to like allow hot air into the hallway where the thermostat is in order for the air conditioner to run harder.
To kick in, I guess. Yeah.
And like I supply fans to his room. All you got to do is like open your door for 20 minutes and run the fan and it'll like cool down to the temperature of the house, you know? And then he started leaving my back door open. And so I call him on it. I'm like, "Hey man, you got to stop leaving my doors open." He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Dude, there's fucking cameras all over my house. Like you're on camera doing it." "Huh. Wow, I guess I must have opened them to like air out after I cooked." I'm like, "You've been cooking every day since you've lived here and you've never once done it until it started getting hot, you know?" Fucking
Jesus.
prick.
How long was that guy? Yeah, how long was he a tenant?
So he was here for like 4 or 5 months and he was supposed to be here 6 months. So he gave me like 3 days notice on moving out, which really pissed me off, you know? Just pissed me off. I'm like, "Whatever, dude. Just get out of my house," essentially. Like
Yeah, just
I'm
fuck
just
off.
done
Take
with
your
your
lies with you.
fucking weird ass, you know? So like he moves out and my bedding's all gone. And so I text him. I'm like, "Hey man, I want my bedding back." And he like texts me, "It's in the garage in a bin." I'm like, "Whatever." So I'm like texting my buddy, the contractor guy that knows he's weird. I'm
Mhm.
like texting him about this guy. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I fucking accused him of stealing my bedding and it was in the house. And I just didn't even do apologize to him. He gave me 3 days notice. So fuck him, you know?"
Yeah,
And then I
100%.
get a text back, "No apology needed." And I go, "What?" And I look and I'm like, "Oh shit, I text the wrong fucking guy. I
Oh
text
no.
him instead of my buddy." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And at this point, I'm like, "You know what? I'm already on his kill list if I'm on his kill list, you know?"
Yeah, it's
So
imaginary kill list.
yeah, and like he's smart enough to realize that I didn't send him that on purpose, like it was
Yeah, right.
clearly to another person. And so I just text him back, "Have fun raiding fake meth labs."
That's good. A little sherry on top.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't get a return on that one.
Naturally, right? Yeah, he blocked you after that. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, it could have been worse. Watch the back door. Make sure he doesn't,
Yeah.
or change the locks or something. Make sure he didn't make copies of
I've
all the
got
keys.
a code for my front door.
Okay,
So
change it
yeah.
immediately.
Well, I give everybody their own code when they move in and then I delete it when they move out.
Okay, fair. Then
Yeah. It's the best way to do it. That way I don't have to worry about, like you said, like keys,
yeah.
I used to
I
do
don't know.
keys and then I had a guy move out that I was sketched out about. I'm like, fuck, now I got to rekey everything.
Yeah, you got to change everything now. Yeah, that's not a. Yeah, see, the joys of home ownership, kids. Yeah, everybody's American dream,
Yeah.
white picket fence and
Yep.
owning in a home. But here's
And
all the,
speaking of kids, I got a new shirt. It says, Warning. Remember,
Remember,
kids,
kids.
electricity can kill you. And it's got a little lightning bolt guy
With
shanking a
the
little
little
kid.
with the little knife on there.
I thought that was fitting for my injury.
Right, I was gonna say you gotta show up to a high school and, like, tell your story wearing the shirt and be like, "And as you can see,"
Yep.
or you could pick up these shirts on the way out of the auditorium, guys,
Yep.
because I'm speaking from experience. That
Yep.
electricity motherfucker does not joke around.
Yep. But dude, there's always something with home ownership, you know? Like
Oh, yeah.
I've got endless amounts of work that I need to do inside of my house. I've got to paint the exterior of my house this fall. I bought an airless paint sprayer on Facebook the other day just because like I'm not gonna roll the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, definitely don't, yeah.
But I've got to do that. Like my carpets are destroyed from dogs, and like my ex-wife didn't take good care of the house when she was living here, and I was like fresh off my injury, so like my carpets are destroyed. Like
Mm,
my dining room, my kitchen, dining room, and living room are like my kitchen dining room is like tile, and then my living room is carpet, and it's like at a weird angle. So like if I wanted to do flooring, like at some point I'm going to do like wood vinyl flooring
yeah.
essentially, but I have to do the whole house because of the way everything is designed. I can't
Mhm,
just do one room at a time.
mm. I mean, that's honestly, it's the best to do, when
Hmm.
especially when you're talking about, like, replacing carpet, but depending on, like, how much square footage, yeah, you're talking
Yeah.
probably, like, a massive overhaul,
Yeah,
which
it's gonna be like hopefully I'll be able to do it myself. Like wood vinyl flooring's pretty fucking easy to do, but
yeah, my
like
buddy Morpheus just did it for his house.
yeah, yeah, like you don't even have to use a saw for that stuff. It's just like a little cutter thing. It's
Exactly. Yeah,
almost
yeah.
like a paper cutter. So
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully I'll be able to do it myself, but like I just don't want to drop the money on it right now. And like I need to repaint the whole interior of my house. Like my kitchen cabinets need to be redone. It's always something, you know.
Yeah, I
I
feel
think
that, yeah.
my AC unit might have a slow leak in it. And so like I've had HVAC company, like it's a brand new unit, and I've had to have the Freon refilled in it twice. And I think like I don't
Mm.
know, it's
Yeah, it
either
sounds like
running
it.
really heavy right now because it's hot outside or it's low on Freon. And
Even
at
if
this
it
point, like I'm thinking about just buying the machine to refill it.
Yeah, 'cause, honestly, even if it's running that heavy, I mean, I live in a fucking desert, and that shit is never not on. I'm running that 24/7, 365 since I've been here,
Yeah.
and I've only had to refill it once,
Yeah.
so it's gotta have a leak or something in it.
Yeah.
It's gotta have something that it's going through.
Yeah. And I don't have a warranty on it anymore. So like every time I have somebody come out, it's like $100 just to get them here and
Yeah,
then
just
another
so
couple
yeah,
$100 to have them refill it. And it's
yeah.
one of those things where like Amazon has the machines, but they don't have a ton of reviews. So I'm kind of nervous about
Mm.
buying something on Amazon without a ton of reviews, but they're not that expensive. They're only a couple $100.
I mean, and Amazon's pretty good with returning stuff,
Yeah.
so, at least you have that to lean
Oh,
back or,
dude, I
fall
buy
back
shit
on.
on Amazon just to try it.
Yeah, 100%. I the other day, I think I was telling the wife, I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I have until what, next month on the 8th, September 8th
And
to,
then you get
return
another
this."
month after you initiate the return.
Yeah, I'm like, "I have plenty of time."
You
She
can
was
wait
like,
a
"Oh."
month to initiate the return, then you can wait another month after that.
Oh, that's what it was. It was for, like, a full refund and
Yeah.
everything, and I was like, "Yeah, so if I just initiate it by the 8th, and then I get a full refund, and then I still have it for another 20 days, and then I return it."
Yep.
That's
It's like I'm
exactly what the
buying
conversation
shoes. I'll
was.
just buy 2 sizes. I'll buy 12s and 13s and then send back the size that I don't like.
There you go. I don't buy a whole lot of, like, clothing stuff, but,
I
uh
didn't for a long time, and then, like, I kinda got some money, and I was like, "I'm gonna upgrade my wardrobe a little bit." Like, I
why
just
not? Yeah.
had the same clothes for years, and I have that company. Did you ever check out that clothing company that I recommended?
I told you, I was texting you, like, sick designs, like,
Yeah.
everything is definitely up the alley, and, it's also, I don't remember if we talked about it, I think I mentioned it, Bobby Hundreds, it reminded me a lot of that
Mm.
style, like that skater style, like that punk style, which I was really into when I was, coming out of college,
Yeah.
so, again,
I figured
it's
you'd
gonna
like it
fit
because it's
perfectly.
just all tattoo
Exactly.
inspired clothing, you know? And I
It
don't know
fits
if you saw,
perfectly.
but like you can there's like a way that you can like submit designs on there.
I
S-
didn't no, I didn't see that actually.
Yeah, so
I
you
I
could
wa
actually submit a design.
So do I just, like, like Xerox like
Mhm.
hundreds of the
Mhm.
tattoos that I've done and just submit
Mhm.
them all. I
Yep.
could just like mass send them. That'd
Yep.
be that'd be something.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I just took all of that work off your guys' desk for
Yeah.
like the next summer. Here's your next summer's clothing
I
line.
don't know that they
You're
even
welcome.
design their own clothes anymore. I think a lot of it is just other tattoo artists send in designs
Submitting
and
it.
then they credit them,
That's
with the
fucking
design.
smart. That's
It has like
genius.
a signature on the shirt, you know?
I mean, that's
Yeah.
living the dream of getting big enough to where other artists,
Yeah.
fuel your art. That's fucking genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
I met
man,
the guy
no,
that started that company in 2000. Like he was just handing out stickers at Pismo Beach and then
to
just
see what
like
it is now. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
and, like, at one point, like, I think they're still in Zoomies, but, like, at one point, they were in, like, Hot Topic and Zoomies and Pacific Sunwear, and, like, they were back when
Mhm.
malls were big. Now I don't think they even do really, like, I know that you can buy them at, like, some Zoomies and stuff like that, but most of it's just they have a fucking a customer base at this point that just buys from their website, so they just have their website and,
Uh,
like, they don't really need to go into
That's the better
stores.
route though, too,
Yeah, it is.
honestly.
And honestly, their prices aren't bad. Like for
No.
what it is, for like the designs on it and everything, like you can get a shirt for like 25 bucks, which is
Yeah.
not bad at all,
It's an original piece of artwork. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the same thing that, like, oftentimes, especially prior to like a lot of the tariffs like kicking in, to where I had to switch a couple of my like distributors and suppliers for
Yeah.
like cotton and whatnot. Uh, the bottom line, the minimum for most of those things is like 19, 18 bucks usually,
Mhm.
depending. Like, just as even a simple tee is usually 15 bucks.
Yeah.
So if you're talking like, I don't know, however many hours that it spent on a specific design, however many, artists contributed to that, and distributors contribute to that on top of that, and then whatever it's like
Yeah.
made out of, whether it's felt or cotton or
Yeah.
whatever, like all of those things add up very quickly, as I
Yeah.
found out, putting clothes out there.
Yeah.
And so
And I would
25
have
bucks for a fucking original
yeah,
design,
dude.
that's fucking good.
And I would imagine that the artists probably aren't making much of
Oh
like they're
no,
probably making a tiny bit on the clothing, but it's free advertisement, you know?
that's what I always thought too, is
Yeah.
like, I'll keep my bottom line, profit of an even,
Mhm.
whatever the base is, just to ship it and continue, trying to produce something
Yeah.
that will continue itself. And so I guarantee you at 25 bucks, that's probably exactly what they're,
Yeah.
and mine's like the cheapest of the cheapest, like
Mhm.
Chinese, vendor that I was
Sure.
using. Again, 18 bucks a t-shirt. I just rounded out to an even 20. So
Yeah.
again, that's like a 75 cents to a dollar, quote unquote, profit
You're
that you're
paying for your
making at that
shipping,
point.
you know?
100%. That's where my math ultimately
Yeah.
set at. And
So when I
so
was a
25
kid,
bucks,
like
good job.
I was sponsored by motocross companies. Like they would sponsor, you know, because you're going to races and you're putting your
Mhm.
stickers on your bikes, you're wearing the clothes. So they would give you like cost or below cost, depending on how good you were. And dude, I got to see like as a kid, like how much this stuff actually cost them. And they might even have been lying about cost, but
Mhm.
I would get shirts for like 5, 10 bucks, you know?
Yeah.
And so it got me to this point where like I stopped buying clothing from every company except for Sullen because I like them and he gave me great deals when I was still racing. Like me and my
Yeah.
buddy used to go in there like 4 times a year because they do a different line like for every season. And so like if you go in there in the summer, you would get the spring stuff at like
Mhm.
20% below cost or something like that. So we'd walk out of there with just bags of shit, for $100, $200 or something like, and you just have bags and bags. So like, I just stopped buying, and like, I had those clothes I still have some of them. They don't fit me anymore because I'm fat now. But like, I still have some of them, and I've given them to my little brother at this point. But like,
Uh,
I just stopped buying stuff like that because it's like, why am I going to advertise for you for free? You
mm,
know? Like a
yeah.
shirt, a company's shirt is an advertisement? Like this is a fun shirt. I'm not advertising for a company right now. Like
Mhm.
I bought this because I think it's funny and it fits with my, sense of humor and with like what happened to me. So like that's if I buy a Black Sabbath shirt, like I'm supporting whoever like Ozzy's money is going to now and Tony Iommi, like if I buy a Black
Yeah.
Sabbath shirt, it's going to the band that I love. Like it's not really like advertising for free. But if you go and buy a Nike shirt, if you go buy Under Armour, if you go buy, any other like Cabela's or something, you're advertising for these people for free. They're charging you to advertise. You're
Mm.
paying to advertise for these companies that hate
Oh
you.
yeah.
You know, like
Well,
Nike
especially when you see
fucking
their
hates us. They hate our values. They're un-American. They're scumbags. But so like, why am I going to spend $40 on a shirt with a check mark on it so I can pay to advertise for you when I can get something cheaper that is fucking badass from Sullen? You know what I mean?
100%. No, 100%. And as we we're getting into the thick of it. I think we didn't even announce what we're drinking on or anything else
Oh,
as we roll into
yeah,
this.
we just
No, no,
rolling.
no, we're
I'm
good
old
because I think
fashioned out.
this is the exact like jumping off point for it. So like uh speaking of free advertisement, quote unquote free advertisement,
Yeah.
you see the price in a lot of, like you said, Cabela's or any of those. Like I'm planning for a hunting trip, right?
Mhm.
And so I was actually shopping today for those, mandatory orange vests, right?
Sure.
And what's like the brand that sticks out with all of these? Obviously Cabela's is probably a big one. The other one, if you're not familiar with it, is Vortex. Okay,
Yeah.
right? Vortex is everywhere. You look at the price of a lot of these name brand items, and it's like, to your point, that extra 50% most of the time, sometimes more than that, that you see tacked on there. My wife always like, oh, you're paying for the brand, you're paying for the brand, you're paying for the brand. And I'm like, yeah, but is it any better? And I've compared Vortex, and again, Vortex scopes. I mean, you want to
Yeah.
sponsor the Scuttlebutt podcast? Fine. It's not that it's a bad scope, but I look at the technology in the Vortex scope, and pick your poison of a cheap scope out there,
Yeah.
a Monstrum, right?
There's the same factory in China is
They
producing 5 different
exactly,
scopes with different brands on it.
exactly. It's the same glass, the same prisms, the same light apertures in it.
It's
The
like
and
when you
mo-
go to Costco, you can buy Kirkland brand vodka and it says bottled at Grey
there you
Goose
go.
on the bottom of it, and you're
Exactly,
paying like half the price of Grey Goose.
exactly. I mean, I just had that conversation with somebody the other day for their whiskey. I was like, "This
Yeah.
is Kirkland bottled and bond." They're like, "Ooh, Kirkland." I was like, "Yeah, but look at the bottle. Look where it's bottled. It's Bardstown." So
Mhm.
you telling me you just finished telling me you love Bardstown
Mhm.
whiskey? Guess what that whiskey is? It's Bardstown whiskey right in that bottle. It just says
Mhm.
Kirkland,
And it
and it
may
was
be the
$20
bottom of
cheaper.
the it may be the bottom of the barrel stuff, but like if
No,
you're
it's not
not
even
a
bottom of the
it's
barrel. It's
probably
it's
not.
just
It's
leftovers.
just
They
leftovers.
bottled
That's what I
100
mean.
bottles of
That's what I mean.
Bardstown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like get the fuck out of here, guys.
Yeah.
But why I say that's a jumping off point is because like the economics of reputation and of societal um word of mouth is so valuable,
Mhm.
right? To the point of free advertisement for this Vortex, right? The deer does not give a shit what color orange vest I'm wearing,
You could
nor
get a
does the game
3M
warden.
an orange 3M vest that
Right.
every
Which
construction crew in the world wears for like
Which I
5
plan to
bucks.
get.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I do plan. But I was shopping around because I have to do it in 2 weeks, and I have to, get up there. I have to be a certain place at a certain time. So I was
Sure.
like, let me get all this stuff out of the way. And the wife was like, oh, we could just do this, we could do that on the way. Plus, the state that we're in, they're not big hunters. It might be easier, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, yeah, well, I'm gonna see what the prices are. And it got me thinking. You saw the which I think is the best. Again, why I say that I love this jumping off point. You saw this WNBA
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
controversy,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
God damn, does that not make
It's
me
so
smile?
funny.
Does it not? Okay, does it not seem like it's too good to be true? At the
I
same time,
know.
it's like this is hilarious that we're in this
Simulation
position to.
stuff, right?
Yes, yes, it's so
It's like what
ridiculous.
Elon Musk says is the funniest outcome is the most likely.
It's yeah, it's beautiful. It's so and to this point, like societal, like word of mouth, like the economy of society's word of mouth
Yeah, you
has
got that
gotten to the
Royce White
point.
guy who's saying he's
Yeah.
gonna transition.
Yeah, there's two of Royce White is the one that
Yeah,
I
and
think I'm
then
following right
Ernest
now.
Freedom something or
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Well, yeah, White is I think or Royce s- I don't know if he's serious. This is where it's so crazy. I don't know if he's serious, but like all of his tweets now are ending with like elect him for
Mhm.
president. It's like
Mhm.
hashtag a white for president or whatever.
Yeah.
It's to the point of absurdity that it is so like a crystal clear, perfect, like textbook. This is where this leads,
Mhm.
where we've been in such a fantasy land and such a crazy, absurdity land that we've been talking about with this the trans and the, women's sports and all this, that this is just, it could not have led anywhere else, I feel like. And it's almost too good to be true that it has just worked perfectly. It's almost like a plan
I saw a
that,
tweet the
you
other day
hatch.
that said, owners and coaches of women's basketball all got together in a room, and after 4 hours, they couldn't decide what a woman was, and it was like, leave
Yeah.
it to 40 women to not be able to decide what a woman is.
And that's a true thing. That's the craziest part. Does that sound like
Yeah.
a spoof headline or something out of like a tabloid? But it's 100. That was from like the New Yorker or
Something
something.
like that. Yeah.
It was crazy. And of course, this is where it leads, and I can't believe it took this long. Again, it's like a master plan that was hatched, like
Yeah.
a Ocean's 11 style plan, and you're
Yeah.
like listing off all the things you need, and all of it's got to culminate. And sort of like when you're looking back through that, you're like, oh, this has got to be like the perfect storm. This is like a
Mhm.
Hail Mary. This will never work, and yet here we are,
Yeah, here we
inevitably.
are.
It's and
And
so
like
it goes
Royce
to that.
White is like 6'6" and just fucking jacked, and he's like, I'm
It's
gonna go play in the WNBA.
he's not
And
even
then
gonna
you've
shave
got
his
that,
beard.
and then you've got that guy, what's his name, Clay Travis, who's offering like $1 million for the top WNBA team to play a high school basketball team of his, a men's high school
Oh yeah.
basketball team of his choice.
It's so ridiculous, man. Well,
And then
it's
like you see all these clips of these women playing basketball, and you're like, oh, there's no way they could beat a men's high school basketball team. There's just
they did
no
it with
way.
soccer. I
Yeah,
mean,
they did it with soccer. I remember that. Yeah. Yep.
So there's no way that
There's just
if
no
anybody
way,
was
dude.
serious.
My men's high school, my JV high school basketball team, I didn't play varsity for a lot of reasons that we won't get into because it's not important. But I wasn't allowed to play, and my senior year, I was hurt my junior year. But like, dude, my sophomore team could beat one of those WNBA teams, and like we weren't even that
Oh,
good,
for sure.
you know.
Oh, for sure.
But there's not a woman in the WNBA that could like stop me in the post, you know.
That's the craziest, or not the craziest, but the funniest thing about all this. I mean,
I was
'cause,
6'3", 165 as a sophomore. There's no way. You're just not
no, no.
stopping me, you know?
Well, and then the whole the beauty of the hilarity of this is, now again, this is the scuttlebutt, so we're just spreading rumors here. We're just talking trash. But there has been a little bit of scuttlebutt that I've heard come through, that they're so hesitant about this and so, standoffish with this whole white situation and this
Yeah.
trans situation, because apparently maybe there's some credible evidence that there's already, quote unquote, trans women in
Dude,
playing already in the NBA.
The chick from Russia. Remember?
I don't know.
You
See,
remember
I don't
the
know.
chick that got held in Russia for the vape pen?
Oh, yes. That
The
is Caitlyn Jenner, right?
Whatever.
Or
No,
is it
that's
Jenner? No. That's the Olympian.
Yeah.
Fuck. Garner.
Brittany Garner. Brittany Garner.
Yeah. I knew it was in there. It was in there.
A lot
It
of
was-
rumors that is a man.
Well, now I haven't gone down the rabbit hole to explore, but some of the scuttlebutt I've been hearing, it's kind of like, I don't know if it makes more sense that that's the case, or it also makes more sense that people are just so, again, out there in fantasy land that they legitimately do not know how they're going to define what a woman is,
do you
because
think
they put
really
themselves in this
test
corner.
these people to find out if they don't care. They know they're a laughing stock already. Like, and that's the funny part, is like they know that they're already a laughing stock. I always see, so like one of these motocross guys that I follow, he's always like talking about profit sharing, because like professional motocross doesn't profit share with the riders. Like they charge the riders to race every weekend, which is crazy. You're
Jesus.
being charged an entry fee as a professional. Anyways, like he's always saying like all these leagues that profit share, like, they end up making more money when they do profit share. And he always like points at the WNBA. I'm like, the WNBA doesn't make a profit. That's the funny thing, is like they're subsidized by the NBA because they don't make a profit. And they're always bitching and whining for more money. And it's like, nobody wants to watch you play. You're a laughing stock already.
This happened the other day too. I was out eating with the wife, and there was like 5 screens in this restaurant,
Mhm.
and 3 or 4 of them were WNBA. I was like, why do they
God,
fucking have this on?
I know,
They're
dude.
forcing
Drives
it,
me nuts. So like in motocross, they have like your 2 announcers that kind of like call the race, and then you have a trackside reporter who's an ex-racer, and then you always have a woman who has no experience in the sport, who's just like an NBC, like
That's every
affiliate.
sport, I feel
And
like
it's
now.
why do we have to have that? Like, there's so many pro racers that would love to have that job that would do a much better job. And like to her credit, like the one who does it for Supercross is pretty good. Like she's been doing it for a lot of years and she's kind of immersed herself in the sport and she does a
She's
good
knowledgeable.
job.
Yeah.
But like, why do we always have to have that? Like there's
Yeah.
so many ex players or ex racers that would love that fucking job that would have just a better perspective on it overall than this random fucking woman. And now like we're doing in motocross, they have like professional women's motocross. And this is like professional women's motocross is not the WNBA. Like these chicks are badass.
Yeah.
Like the chick that's winning right now, she's qualified for men's races before. Like she's got better lap times than a lot of the guys do. Like she's
Yeah.
good, you know. She's a
What's
legit
the
racer.
negative you think in because like most of it's like physical. Is it like stamina? Like if we're in like a long
I
grueling
think a
race,
lot of it's
maybe?
physical strength, to be honest.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
moving the
you know.
bike itself.
Yeah, like the bikes are heavy. You know, they're racing
Yeah. Yeah.
250Fs. They're 225 pounds. These girls are small. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of it is just strength. You know, endurance I don't think is a massive problem. Like I think that they can be, you know, like have just as much physical endurance, but like the strength to like muscle the bike when you need to is just not there. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
like
Okay.
you know, when I graduated high school, I was probably 160 pounds, 165 maybe, you know, and I was like a C rider, which is like a novice essentially, and like I was good. I had like one lap speed, but I just didn't really like have the strength to like muscle the bike around. And I didn't know that, you know, like you just are what you are at that point. You don't really know anything. And like I never really planned on racing after I graduated high school, but I moved down to Southern California and I started lifting to get chicks. Like it had nothing really to do with motocross. I just started lifting
Naturally.
because like my buddy came out of the womb with a six pack and he was just naturally jacked, which,
Yeah.
you know, good for him. But like I wasn't, you know. So like I started lifting and then I started riding again and I immediately went from a C rider to an A rider.
That was the difference right there.
Yeah. I needed 20 pounds on me.
I mean, that makes sense. That's why I was curious. You know, of all the there's those nuances of specific sports,
Mhm.
and you know, you look at like the female commentator right on the field for football. You know, like NFL, and she has again to this conversation again. Not that they couldn't be very knowledgeable. I know plenty of
Yeah.
women who are into sports. It's not that you can't be knowledgeable, but
Yeah,
you have
especially if
never
you've been
played
doing
football.
it for a long time, like you know the
Sure,
riders, like in my case anyways, and in football too, you know the players, like you
sure.
kind of have an understanding, but you never did it, you know?
That's what I'm saying. There's this huge cavern
Mhm.
that people have to cross to relate to
Yep.
a conversation, right?
You
And
could be
that
watching
goes across the
motocross
board.
every day for 10 years and have like a great understanding of the sport, but you still never did it. And there's
Right.
always going to be that chasm that you just can't fill.
Right. And I mean, and you see it with UFC, you know, that's
Mhm.
why I think Rogan is so good with it.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
knows what he's
oftentimes people
talking
like it.
about, you know?
100%. Yeah, right. And there is that credibility as well that
Yeah.
people like pick up
And
and
Daniel
listen to.
Cormier, you know, he's great
Yeah.
too. Like
Yeah.
he's been there. He knows what's going on in that. He knows, and the most important thing is like even something that Daniel Cormier can do that Joe Rogan can't is like Joe Rogan knows all the moves. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he's done all the fighting, he knows all the moves. He doesn't know what's going on up here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the
Yeah.
big thing. What is happening up here when you're in the fifth round and you're 4 minutes into a title fight? And like, what are you thinking? What is
Yeah.
going through your mind? Are you blacked out and just going off of instinct? Or are you fighting for points? Like, are you backing off because this guy's dangerous and I know I have him? But like, there's a lot going on up here
Yeah.
most of
Yeah.
the time, I would
I mean,
imagine. You know,
l-
there's for racers, I know, like as a racer, it was hard to turn your mind off. You know,
mm,
like if you're out there out front, especially in first place, like your mind is just spinning. You're thinking about everything, you know, you're thinking about the chick that you like, you know, like there's just crazy things going on in your mind
yeah, yeah. No,
that
I
like
can't.
somebody who's never done it just can't comprehend.
Exactly. Well, I was thinking back to earlier in the conversation. It's like those that are talk the most have seen the least kind of a thing. It's the same
Yep.
like principle or concept, right?
Yep.
You either are or you aren't. You either know it or you don't, and it's very easy to recognize that, right? So it is I don't know where my tangent thought was. I had it to weave us back and
Yeah.
connect back through it, but it's one of those things with the Oh, that's what it was. Societal, like like currency almost. This
Yep.
WNBA, it was almost to the point where I've heard a couple people talk about it being like Jerry Springer, and like that's where people are like interested in, or why it's becoming interesting. And there's even some good players. Again,
I
not that
think if
I.
like Indiana's like the only fucking team that's like keeping that league together. You've got Caitlin Clark and
Yeah,
that other chick, Sophie Cunningham. Like
Cunningham. Yeah,
those are
yeah.
the two most popular chicks in the league. Like
But I
Cunningham's a
couldn't
smoke
tell you
show,
why.
you know.
I couldn't tell. Yeah, well, that being true, but that's true of any women's sports that I
Yeah.
feel like you can play into, and it's almost like, I mean, this is gonna sound, oh my god, so sexist, guys. Oh, but it's like, know your strengths and weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
And call me crazy, but you know what's a sport? Every Summer Olympics that I fucking love watching is women's volleyball.
Oh yeah.
Sue me. I don't
Oh
give a
yeah.
fuck. And then they want to change like the uniforms and stuff. It's like, okay, just it doesn't have to
That's
be
why people watch. Is the
right.
uniforms. Dude,
But
there's
that
this
doesn't,
like
or track and field too.
sleazy dive bar in my town that my grandfather goes to all the time, like every fucking week he's there.
Of course, of course.
I was supposed to meet him there for lunch one day a couple months ago, and I showed up 2 days early by accident, and he was there.
Because he's just always there.
And they have like a marquee out in front, and it was like one day I drove by and it said women's volleyball tournament. And I'm like, you fucking scumbags are just sitting in there drooling over women's volleyball and they're advertising it on the marquee. That's fucking awesome.
but that's a harmless, like
Yeah.
perversion, let's say.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in the bar, in this dive bar, and you're watching these, short shorts,
Yep.
playing volleyball, the women know that you're looking at them for that, and they don't give a fuck, because guess what? They're getting paid, they're
Yep.
getting to play, they're doing all of these things, and you're getting whatever, like fulfillment and stuff. So again, call me crazy, but that can still be okay, and it doesn't have to be like the detriment of society that we
Yeah.
have to, it's going to collapse. Our civilization is going to collapse if we let Uncle Pervert over here. I forget the guy in Family Guy who's always chasing Chris or whatever.
Hey there, Chris.
Yeah, pervert Herman or whatever.
Herman, yeah, I think that's his name. I don't watch that show.
Whatever.
But I know who you're
But it's
talking
like,
about.
there's a reason that character exists, because those people exist, and like they're harmless until
Yep.
they're not. So let's just keep them harmless, right?
Yep.
And it's just blows my mind that you want to like play against your strengths
Yep.
and only
And
like prop up your weaknesses. And look where it has led, and look where it has concluded for the WNBA. It's like,
and
this
I
is
think
the
a lot of
inevitable
it
corner.
also too is you see this a lot on Twitter because we have the same feed, so I know you see it too.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of it is like whites love watching these white women destroy these black thugs
in
in the
WNBA.
WNBA. Yep, they love it. They love that Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are white, and that they're getting in fights with these black women, and they're pointing at them and getting them to chimp out, and like it's a thing, we're so divided by race right now that it's a thing.
And I don't even know that that's that's again, same thing with the perversion thing. I don't even know that is that wrong. It's like, especially because like I was track and field. You see, as you start to go up, I was never going to be faster than Usain Bolt. It was just never going to happen.
No.
And whether that's because he's black and I'm white or otherwise, like, it was neither here nor there. But it does, and I'm just say, like, maybe there's 50%, maybe there's 90% of those white guys out there who are like, fuck yeah, he beat the black guy.
Whenever I see a street fight on Twitter, I'm like, white versus black. I'm like, let's go, white guy. Like, put this thug at his place.
That's crazy. Well, and there's also, that leads into the fatigue, conversation that I know our timelines have overlapped.
Oh, yeah.
So we see it. Speaking of which, though, Chud apparently made bail. I don't know if you saw that in the last week or two.
I did.
Yeah, he made bail, having was it 5 or 6 different bond services, having to post $100,000 to make his final
I still
$1 million
think he's going
bond
down, but at least he's out for. If I was him, I'd bounce to some foreign country.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
With no extradition, I'd be out. Fuck it.
It's a crazy.
Enjoy my life for 10 years until they send the FBI or the CIA to get me.
Until they eventually find you.
Dude, I'd be out. They're gonna burn him down. They're gonna burn him at the stake like a witch, dude. Like,
I mean,
there's just no chance he's getting away with it. Like, I just and like we've said before, like, I think he's innocent in it. I've seen the video. Like, I think he had every right to pull his weapon on that guy.
Yeah. It's crazy that I feel like you can be justified or you can be correct, but you said the no word.
Mhm.
You can be the example that you're gonna
Yep.
be made of. And same thing with like
The
because I've
the
seen
justice
the
system is owed one for Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse was not supposed to get away with it. You know what
I
I mean?
called that. Yeah, I said the same thing when
He was
he
not supposed to get away with that, but he
I
did.
th-
And now
yeah, I
it's
thought the
like
same thing.
a scoreboard thing, you know? It's like we're talking basketball. It's like the ref in basketball calls a bad call. He knows it was a bad call. Like all the other
He
refs
has
are
to
like,
get
that was
one.
not,
Yeah.
but so the other team has to get one now. You know,
Yep.
you're
Yep.
owed
Yep. Yep.
one. And like that
Yep.
happens in basketball all the fucking time. I played basketball in high school. I know it happened all the time. Like you could see it on the ref's face when they know they fucked up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they were owed one. And I think like Chud is that guy where he's getting
Yeah.
that ridiculous call because they are owed one, you know,
Hmm.
and they
Well,
can't let people get away with that. They have to set this precedent that it's not okay. Being a racist is the worst thing you can be on earth at this point, you know?
yeah, yeah, obvious. Well, specifically in this country, but
Yeah.
I mean, it goes also to like where's the pendulum at when it hits the conspiracy side of the house with like Robinson because Candace
Yeah.
just had that
I haven't
debate.
watched it, but I've seen some clips.
Same. I've been
And
I've
I
been seeing back
respect
and
Andrew
forth.
Wilson. Like, I think he does a valuable
Yeah,
service.
most of
Like,
the time he does a
he's
pretty good
good at what
job,
he
I think.
does, but also, like, he's used to debating hookers, not Candace
To
Owens.
be fair,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
To be
Candace
fair,
knows her shit.
I don't know. He's debated quite a few people that I was surprised at like how faulty or ill prepared, underprepared they were when they debated him
Mhm.
as a
He's
whole.
good at what he does. You know, he's a good debater. He's good at like railroading you and like
Yeah, and
talking
he gets
over
under the
you.
skin.
And
Yeah, yeah,
yes, he's very good
yeah.
at that. And like, I think so. And this is interesting because like, if like you have the same timeline as me, so we saw the clips of him losing, but there's other
Hmm.
people out there that think that he trampled her, you know, and like
I've seen a couple clips where he did.
personally, okay, I haven't seen those clips. I haven't watched a ton of the clips because like I don't, to be honest, I don't really care all that much. Like like I've said to you before, my default is don't trust the government, especially when they know exactly what happened. So
Yeah.
like I just am convinced that even if Tyler Robinson was the shooter in this case, which I don't think he was, like that video of the guy doing the military crawl is pretty damning to me. Like this is
Mm.
some trans fucking fairy weirdo. Like he doesn't
Yeah, he
do
doesn't have
that.
the
You know
training.
what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
so I think that was a pretty damning video, personally. Even if he is the shooter, like, there's some serious fuckery going on right now that we're never going to get to the bottom of. And, like, regardless of who actually won that debate, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to move the needle. It's not going to allow us to, like, learn the truth in any fucking way. So, like, I'm not going to waste 4 hours of my time watching that. You know what I mean?
True.
Like I've got
Yeah.
better things to do with my day than that. Like I'm already there's very little that Andrew Wilson could say to convince me that like he is correct and she is not. Like I don't
Mm.
know that she's correct, but like I am on the default position that the government is lying about this. The fact that they paved over the entire place and like
Yeah.
the owner of the paving company was like they rushed this job like immediately to pave over everything. Like all the video is fucking weird. Like I think the most damning piece of evidence is that guy doing the army crawl on top of the roof and
But
like
you can also.
seemingly putting together a folded up weapon with
Oh
no
yeah.
recoil. Like to me, that's the most damning piece of evidence.
I mean, we've been on this since like day one,
Sure.
so we've seen it progress
Yeah.
in our
We
conversation.
did a whole
I th-
breakdown on this like
yeah,
right after it happened, you know,
scene by
and
second
like
by second.
I think we've even flip-flopped a little bit like as more information has come out and like, you know, at one point I was kind of like willing to concede that he might have been the guy, but at this point I really don't think he was.
Well, I think it's very indicative of like that same one that shot at Cooks that shot at Trump
Yeah.
at his rally.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
I think two things can be happening simultaneously.
Also the Governor Whitmer thing.
Yeah, the kidnapped one. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, it's very indicative of the state of the country, right? And the distrust of the government. So that's obviously worth
Which is a
mentioning.
healthy thing in my opinion.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, it also goes to show it's not unfounded. We've
Mhm.
seen this too many times to be trustworthy of, like you said, when the government knows, without a shadow of a doubt, this is exactly what happened. It's like,
Mhm.
well, that honestly means that it probably didn't. But with Robinson and Crooks or whatever his fucking name was,
Mhm.
I think it would behoove me as like an intelligence agency, FBI, CIA, or otherwise. If I had to put my tinfoil hat on, I would. I mean, especially if we're so good at identifying these people, we've been watching them for months leading up to said event,
Mhm.
to just continue watching them. And let's say we knew Crooks was not going to be able to hit Trump. We knew he wasn't. If I actually wanted to kill Trump, I would make sure that he thinks he's able to shoot Trump. He's there with his gun ready to shoot Trump,
Sure.
and then I shoot Trump. You know, like
Yeah.
if I was actually a betting man, I
Got to
feel like
make
that
sure
would
and get
be
the job done right. You can't fucking rely
exactly.
on
And then
this
you have the best
amateur.
scape.
You got to bring in
right.
my tenant to do it.
You have the best scapegoat ever. I mean, that's the Manchurian Candidate,
Mhm.
to a T right there, right? Is like it's the perfect scapegoat is the one that doesn't know that they are a
Can you
scapegoat.
imagine he's like looking down a scope, getting ready to shoot Trump, and then all of a sudden a shot goes off, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
And then his head
And then
explodes.
his head explodes. He's
As
like, "Oh
as
shit, I fucked up."
I feel like Robinson could have been something very similar to that,
Similar, for
where
sure.
especially if he doesn't even know that he missed. If he took
Yeah.
his shot and then jumps off the roof and has no idea that he missed,
Mhm.
I mean,
And dude, like all
he
of
goes
the
to court,
text
he gets
messages
railroaded.
are just so obviously fake.
Which ones?
The text messages to his fucking trans
Oh, right,
boyfriend or
right.
something like
I'm
to
gonna
me,
do
like
this.
those are so obviously fake.
We said those. Yeah, we said that when they first released them. We're like, oh,
And
who
it's like,
talks like
how do
this? Like
you how
what
is like
20-year-old talks like
whoever
this?
exactly and like whoever's like producing those text messages, how does that person get the job? You know, like you did such a poor job at convincing the public that those are
You
real.
know,
Like, how do you not
you
have
say that.
somebody who's like actually I don't know.
You
Like,
say that. You say that. But
yeah.
I have seen, and this constantly comes up. Khaleesi and I continue to bitch about this. You can fail up so many levels in the government,
Oh, for sure. You
in the
always fail up.
military.
You
Yeah,
always fail up.
and so like, what do you think is at those highest levels?
Yeah.
Like getting those jobs, it's
Mhm.
the incompetent ones that failed up to that level. So would it surprise me that whoever was in charge of making those fake, Chat GPT generated fucking
Sure.
text messages, is unable to realize how fake they sound?
Yeah.
No, that would not surprise me in
Yeah.
the slightest.
You know,
So
go ahead,
yeah.
sorry.
No. It's just I've seen a lot of these come out, and to your point, yeah, I don't disagree that the conversation or the debate isn't gonna like change anything, but I don't think anything is outside of
No.
the fact that we're talking about it and we're having our opinions on it, whether it sways or because, like you said, we've gone kind of back and forth.
Not like the
Again, with
government's just gonna come out and admit that they fucking, set up the entire thing. That's not
well,
gonna
there's
happen. We're still
yeah.
debating Kennedy today,
Exactly, exactly. I don't know, man. It's one of those where there a lot of the sticking points for why Robinson or why this thing couldn't happen. A lot of people get stuck on it. I mean, I know we tweeted back and forth about the bullet thing.
Yeah.
This just there are certain things that people get stuck on, and Candace is a perfect example of this where, oh, I have all these conjectures, I have
Yeah.
all these theories, but I don't really have any pinpoint evidence for it,
Yeah.
or I have a hearsay for it. It's like, so then I don't know why we're wasting our time on that. Because it's
Yeah.
your point, right? Kash Patel is a fucking idiot, right?
Yeah.
So would it surprise me that he says idiotic things? No, it wouldn't.
No.
Does that mean that there's a conspiracy? No, it doesn't. Do I still think there is one because of how shady certain aspects have been? The paving thing. That's a big one, right?
It's a big one. People kind of discount that as just like business as normal, but it's a big deal.
I don't understand. Yeah, how you can just get rid of all of this?
You're just
What
paving
evidence was
over a crime
collected?
scene,
Yeah, and it seems there are okay, so there are instances like that just seem fishy, right? And then same thing with the autopsy part of it, and same thing with the video aspect of it. There are a couple things where they
I'm
continue
kind
to
of
like
surprised that they didn't have the same guy that did Epstein's autopsy do Charlie Kirk's.
do.
I'm kind of surprised about that.
I
The
don't know, man.
like the TV guy that does autopsies on TV.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Honestly, maybe they figured that would be too
You
much.
don't
Like
get that
people
job for like not playing ball. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. So there are those specific pieces that I agree with you, and I look at them like that's
Mhm.
fishy because it's fishy. Again, if there's smoke, there's probably fire, kind of
Yeah.
a thing. I just haven't found enough source pieces to lead me to the exact point of fire.
And you
But I
never
agree that
will.
there is one,
It's not like you're gonna find it,
Well,
like,
right,
Candace
right,
has
right.
dug into this deeper than anybody because she has a personal investment into it, and she hasn't found the
But
fire,
at the same time, she got honeypotted the other day by Andrew
Mhm.
Wilson, right? He created a fake Twitter, gave her some fucking info. She
Oh,
immediately
interesting, I
went
didn't
out
know
with
that.
that info. Yeah,
Uh,
and then he screenshotted everything, tweeted about it, was like, "This is me, you fucking idiot." Like, obviously, you're not
I
vetting your
did kinda
sources.
see that now that I think about it.
And so it's like, so I know, so day one, I was like, I don't buy Candace's like investment in it because it's like,
And she could
I
be
knew
used
Charlie.
as a, what do they call it? A useful idiot, you know?
Maybe, but I also think she's just trying to
She
get her
probably does
bag.
have sources. Like, I know Alex Jones always claims that he has sources, and I'm sure he does, and, like, a lot of times, they could probably be using him as a useful idiot, you know?
Sure, sure, sure. I just don't think her agenda or her, not her agenda, but like, yeah, why her motive. I just don't buy it. She's always like, "Oh, we were
Sure.
friends, and this is why I really care about this."
Yeah.
But first, a moment from our sponsors, like,
Yeah,
"Fuck
I think
you,
there's
get
some
the
gray
fuck out
area
of here."
there. I think there's some gray area there because I know it's been claimed that, like, he was distancing himself from her, and I know that she's claimed that that was not true, but I think that there's some gray area there. I think that, like, what she is doing was not palatable to Kirk, and I think he probably was distancing himself from her to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, that frustrating point of it though is like, and yet we'll never fucking know.
Yeah,
That's the worst
yeah,
part of this.
exactly. We never will, and, like, you kinda have to, like, just, you know,
Swallow that and just
swallow
deal with
that
it.
pill and do with it as you will, and that's why I'm not gonna get, like, fired up about this debate because, like I said, it's kind of not gonna move the needle no matter
Yeah,
what, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
it's a crazy thing. I came across this post on Twitter the other day, I think it was last night I came across it. It was BB put out this post where he was talking about Lebanon, where he was like, "Oh, we were trying to keep the peace, and then, Hezbollah attacked us, and we had to fight back, and unfortunately they were using children as human shields," type
So
of
we
thing.
just had to
Which
kill them
they've been,
all.
yeah, so we had to kill everybody, So it's so unfortunate that they're such terrible people that they made us kill children, type of thing.
Right.
And somebody posted this right underneath it, and I think that this is a good, like, I'm gonna read it for us. I think it's a good, like, this fits for this whole, like, Charlie Kirk discussion as well. It's called The 9 Principles of Propaganda, and
Mm,
I thought it was a really interesting, like, breakdown of propaganda. So I'm gonna kinda read through them. Stop me if you want to comment, like, while I'm reading them, or I
yeah,
can
yeah.
go through all of them. Just it's up to you on this point. So, number 1, the big lie. Big lies work better than small lies because the masses won't believe that anyone would lie, quote, "about that."
Mm,
Number 2, focus. Don't don't make it complicated. Ignore history, keep it simple and for simple minds. 3, repeat. People cannot tell the difference between facts and familiarity. That's my dentures speaking right there. The
I
same
gotcha.
words represented over and over will become true in their minds. Number 4, blame. Never credit the other side. Always blame, debase, defame, and dehumanize. Number 5, provoke. Outrage, fear, and resentment are more powerful than reason, logic, or facts. Number 6, crisis. Issues must be life or death, good versus evil, love versus hate, us versus them. Urgency defeats objection. 7, emotion. A person might question facts, but they will never question their own feelings. Go emotional. Number 8, candor. Praise allies generously. Demonize all who disagree and have bad intentions or non expert. Number 9, no limit. The victor's morality will be questioned. Morality is for losers.
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty
Okay.
good.
That is, I want that list so I can,
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
cater it to my
Yeah,
own, evil means and
yeah,
devices, right? So I can
yeah.
propagandize the
Propaganda is
casuals out there. That, but I mean, it fucking nails it though, doesn't it? It hits it. I mean, the emotionality part of it and the big lies. That's a big
Yep,
one
the
that
big lies. I
that
thought
I
that was good too because, like it says, like people will never believe that people could do that. But
Yeah,
like
why would you
people's
lie? Why would they?
depravity cannot be underestimated,
You hear that all
especially
the time
government
too.
depravity.
Yeah. Oh, why would they lie about something like that?
Yeah.
Like moon landing, for example. Like
Hmm.
there's
Why
always
would
that.
they
That's
lie?
9/11. That's always one of the first rationales
Yep.
you hear. Why would they lie about something like that? That's
Yep.
just too big of a thing to do.
Yep.
So that one, Jesus Christ, what was it? What was 4 again? It was right
Or
before emotionality.
blame. Never credit the other side.
Yeah.
Always blame, debase, defame, and dehumanize,
And
which
is
is
that
like
not where we're at
Gaza
right
and
now?
human shields. These
100%.
people are so sick that they use children as human shields and they force us to destroy and blow them up. Oh,
Man.
how dare they, force us to kill children?
Again, back to that matrix interweb of
And
like
like Dave
control,
Smith
you
always
know?
makes this point where he's like, if a cop is like pulling somebody out of a car and they're holding their child up as a human shield, that doesn't mean you could just shoot the child to get, for the bullet to go through the person that you're trying to get. Like
Yeah.
anybody who was watching that would be like, well, that was fucked up.
Right. Yeah, but that's a traffic stop. We're talking about,
Yeah.
all is fair in love and
Yeah.
war, right?
Dude,
And
I saw Owen Schroyer tweeted a picture. He tweeted 2 pictures. It said one of them was like 2016 or 18 or 2020, whatever it was. It was like recent. And then the next one was like 2026. And it was like one of them was like this bustling coastline with like like a port city and type of thing. And then the next one was just absolute destruction. And then like he posted like, it's crazy that I don't even have to say what this is. You just know. And I was like, yeah, that's Gaza.
Mm, yeah, I mean,
Destroyed the
Gaza
entire fucking place,
Gaza is one thing that I always consider or think about. I mean, this is one thing that I also want to talk to you about. I don't know if you've heard about it, but people's perception on a lot of these things. Not to say that anybody else's suffering isn't valid, or or that this isn't like a nuanced or complicated thing when it comes to human suffering, because that's what we do, right? We're fucking human is to err, and it comp what is it, like complexity and convoluted answers are, or if they're even called answers, are like our speciality, right?
Mhm.
And it,
Justifications.
all of it, man. But at the same time, it's like, here we are again recording the podcast, and there are how many cities out there? How many, like you look at Libya, or you look at like, parts of Africa, you look at the Congo,
Yeah.
there's suffering on scales that dwarf. I mean, again, this isn't to diminish Gaza,
Yeah.
but it's like that dwarf Gaza, right?
Unimaginable scales.
Right. I mean, generations of suffering, and we often will fixate and have this myopic view of whatever it is. It's like you said, propagandized to us, given to us as the thing that will be useful today for us useful idiots, or that will help divide us further and place blame somewhere, right? And if we want to, degrade, let's say, our trust in the government gives us obviously plenty of examples to feed on for our distrust. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that that's like the entirety of the picture that I often see. And why I say this and why I bring it up is the USS Lincoln. I don't know if you've heard much about it. Okay. And being directly connected to it, I have to be careful on what I say is all I can really like publicly admit. But one thing that I know that Khaleesi and I were bringing up, that she was bringing up and talking to me about this last week, was as the typical news cycle starts to give its loops and its revolutions, where everybody's kind of like copy pasting a lot of these things. Oh my God, 6 service members try to jump overboard because it's so terrible, right? And you start they start giving out numbers. Oh my God, they've been 200 days, 208 days, 250 days now without port, so on and so forth, right? And all of a sudden, all I hear is this distorted picture. And Khaleesi's like, these guys, very bluntly, and I love Khaleesi, but this is why I love my wife. She's like, what are these pussies complaining about today? Because
what they signed up for,
right? So she's always very much on that side of the house of like, what the fuck are people complaining about, right? And I always take that diplomatic approach where I'm like, well, both could be true at the same time. Do I agree that, especially when I look through, when I was helping Morpheus on the ship one of these times, he was like, hey, come see the bathroom. I was like, no,
I saw the
I don't need to see it.
clips too.
I don't want to. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
It's cool. And he's like, and this is as clean as it's ever going to be. And I'm like, cool, bro. No desire to be eating off the floor in the bathroom. Okay. I get it. It's gross. At the same time, it's like, that is similar to like, if you go back to wooden ships, it's like, we know what the suck is. I mean, read
Yeah.
Endurance, when when like beaver pelt sleeping bags start to slosh off because they've been wet for a year, and now it's rotting around you, but it's your only like source of warmth. Okay. There, what human like willpower is able to do to the one side of the conversation or the argument is incredible, and that should be commended, and that is absolutely commendable. And yes, if we sign up for these things, this is what I mean. Anytime I've been out in the suck, yeah, I always try to remember that. And similar to what you and I have talked about, where it's like you're on top of the world
Yeah.
on one of these
Embrace the suck.
power lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, you embrace it. Exactly. Doesn't mean that should be like what everybody should have as their like baseline, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
And it's
just
funny, I was
because
thinking about the power line story as you were saying that.
yeah, I mean, because I told you I often use it anytime we've had our post conversations. I've
Yeah.
used it as an example for other people. I'm like, yeah, I know this awesome dude, and this is how he described it as part of the suck. So there is various forms of the suck, and sometimes you just got to
What I
get through
signed
it.
up for. I knew
Yeah,
it was going to
it's
suck. My dad did the job. I knew he went through hell, like it's
and
what I signed up for.
100%. And at the same time, I this is what I was telling
I
Khaleesi. I was like,
I
at the
didn't
same time,
take a job in North Dakota because I knew it was going to be awesome.
100%. But well, awesome to you, right? Because that's what you're looking for,
Sure.
right? That's what you're signing, like you
Yeah,
said,
it's what I
that's what
signed
you're
up
signing
for.
up for. But at the same time, I'm like, could it all, Gen Z, let's call them what they are. They're a bunch of, helicopter parented, pussy,
Pansies. Yeah.
inexperienced, lazy oftentimes. Like, I'm just going to call a spade, and
Socialists.
millennials are guilty of that just as much oftentimes too. Okay. But having said that, is it also fair to then expect more from our leadership, from our government, from our Navy? That was the one thing
Absolutely.
the one point that I think I was trying to make, and what Khaleesi and I were discussing. I was like, you have a cruise ship, for example. If a cruise ship runs out of water or has mold in the bathroom, all of a sudden it's a lawsuit, or it's like the biggest story on New York Times front page. Oh my God, this cruise ship got stuck out at sea for 12 days, and everybody, there was no AC
Yeah.
and it was moldy or whatever, right? Oh my God, how terrible is that? How much more expensive is it really, with the billions and trillions now that we're funneling into our defense, budget, specifically in the Navy, like warships, where we can't relieve warships after, in this case of the Lincoln, there was an expected rotation date, it got pushed back. There's another expected rotation date, it got pushed back.
Mhm.
And now we're in this third, fourth pushback, extension. And it's like, that's because we're running out of manning. Everybody knows
They're
this who's in the
requesting
military.
$1.5 trillion for the military budget this year.
And here, that's my point, where it's like, how much does it really cost for that civilian private sector cruise liner to basically be the floating city that
Yeah.
is,
It's not like
on
Carnival
par?
is suffering.
On par with a carrier? Why can't we do both, is my point. And so it's
Mhm.
like, should we also still hold our leadership accountable, especially when it wasn't the Lincoln, I think it was the Boxer who was expected to relieve the Lincoln, or is one of those rotation ships. There was a CO who was like, who it was found that there was sewage, like there was an issue with the water filtration system, and there was sewage in the water, and so
Ugh.
people on the crew were getting sick. There was an issue with it, and they were testing it, and it was coming back as like, no, this is a serious issue. And the CEO was like, over the 1MC, hey, the water's fine, it's safe. I'm drinking the water.
Ugh.
I understand that it's like not great, but
And he's
we
not
got to
drinking the
basically
water.
embrace.
He's drinking bottled water.
And
He's drinking bottled water.
Well, it was a she, and she ended up
Oh,
being
of course it was.
she ended up making admiral after the investigation
Yeah.
concluded, right? Failing
Filled up.
upward, right? Because she was shipping in bottled water on private helos to her and her immediate admiral's cabins, and lo and behold, she wasn't drinking the water that was making everybody sick, and yet she was promising. So where the degrading, that same thing with the government, when we lose trust in those higher leaderships because of instances like this, you can't fault these Gen Zers, these fucking sailors,
Yeah.
for also being like, no, fuck this. This is bullshit. You say this, you say this, you say this, and it's not that. There's one thing when we're all, trusting in each other, we all have a common goal, and we're all embracing the suck together to achieve that common goal. That's one thing. And I think that is the defining point Where this, conflict with Iran, I think maybe I'm on the other side of the fence of it. I A lot of us and a lot of people will disagree, especially when, Trump is like, hey, we're anti-war, we're not going to be the
Hmm.
president of war. And people kind of buy into that, ignorantly, and I have the receipts of the show to prove that, but ignorantly buy into that I think was ignorant to begin with. And then all of a sudden now we're 180 the opposite direction. And here we are out at sea
Yeah.
for this Iran war of what? What exactly are we
Yeah.
accomplishing? Just like the Ukraine
Did
war.
you
What the
did
fuck
you
are we
see the
actually doing
clip
here?
where he was like, "So what if you have to pay $4 for gas? I'm stopping, Iran from having a nuclear weapon. I'll never apologize."
So what? What do you mean, so what? That's like people,
Doesn't
that's the
affect
difference between
you. You don't have to pay
exactly.
for your own gas. The government, the American people is paying for your gas. The American people is paying for the gas in your fucking airliners. The American people is paying for everything you do. Meanwhile, you're fucking,
So what?
raping the American people. You're enriching your sons. Like the crazy thing is like, dude, like there was so much shit about the Biden crime family while he was in office. And
Hmm.
like the dick riders just won't admit that he's like legitimately at this point the most corrupt president that's ever existed. Selling access to your early Truth Social posts for a
Thank
hundred
you.
thousand dollars a month. Like
Yeah.
this is fucking crazy. The amount of
Yeah.
corruption that's going on
And
within
who the
this.
fuck is
Dude, I
buying
saw
that?
a
That you
great meme the other day where it was like, I don't remember all of it, but essentially it was like, it had a MAGA hat wearing guy where it was like, this guy cares about us. And it was like, we can't afford healthcare. We're fighting wars. And, who cares about your gas prices? And then it's got him like this. And then it shows him smiling, taken out of context. No, it's not taken out of context. Like, this is
yeah.
fucking crazy,
Yeah.
And
And
the shitty
this
thing
is
is like my buddy was telling me the other day, he was like, man, it's kind of crazy that like all the leftists were kind of right about him from day one. And I was like, it hurts to say that, yes, in a way, but also like they were buying into this Russiagate bullshit that was a
yeah.
total lie. So they were kind of right by accident, but there's no denying at this point that the dude is just straight up corrupt.
Well, it's the broken clock, right
Yeah,
twice a day thing, or like
exactly. That's
50%.
exactly my point.
Well,
Exactly.
it's
Like they weren't right for the right reasons. They were right because
yeah,
they were outraged over something that was
because it
fake.
wasn't their guy. And that's the thing that we
Exactly.
were doing to
Exactly.
Biden when they were like propping up Biden as a fucking corpse. It's
Yep.
like, oh, we're raging against the Biden corruption, portion, which just because it's right now, you can't then overlook Trump, and which
Exactly.
a lot of people are. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the crazy thing. Is if it's not your guy, you'll point it out. As soon as it's your guy, you'll
Yeah.
fucking look the other
Dude,
way.
like
You'll
my
put
mom's
blinders
husband
on.
is a total fucking Trump dick rider. And like we were at
Yeah.
dinner a couple weeks ago and we were kind of like talking a little. I try and stay away from politics because they don't like me when it comes to
They don't want that
politics. Like
conversation.
they
They
don't
want that smoke.
and they think that like it's so frustrating because it was like one of these you're talking about like prices and this and that. And I was like, look, dude, it has nothing to do with the Democrats at this point. Like, did you see the tweet where like Trump right now is responsible for 39% of our debt. Like 39% of our national debt has accumulated during his two presidencies. And they're projecting, like Polymarket is projecting that by the end of his term, it'll be 50% of
It'll
our
be 50,
natural
yeah.
debt. And
Yeah.
so, like, I'm talking about like debt and money printing. And I'm like, dude, like the prices have nothing. He's like, well, houses are so expensive because there's so many immigrants. I'm like, the immigrants that don't have any money, you really believe that? Like these people have no money. They're not driving up prices of housing. It's inflationary, and like when you talk about inflation, it's adding money to the money supply. Like that is the big fucking thing. And he's kind of like giving me this spiel about, oh, you just don't know how the money works, how the world works. Like the Democrats fucked everything up so bad that it's taking him a long time to like
Hmm.
right the ship. Ships don't turn on a dime, and it's just like
Use whatever analogy you want,
condescending
motherfucker.
bullshit,
Yeah.
like treating me like I'm an idiot. And it's like, dude, you know nothing about economics. Like,
Unfortunately.
like
Well,
unfortunately, like if you knew,
back to
and
that.
it's crazy. Like one of my buddies would have been a dick rider, and like I probably would have too if I hadn't got into Bitcoin and like learned about economics and like actually like what inflation is.
Mhm. But that's the craziest thing about it is like, not even the craziest. It's a lot of the frustrating part about it is, we've had this I know we've said this on the show before, you and I specifically. It's like, how do you even give how do you even approach the conversation to give somebody the knowledge, the prerequisite
Hmm.
knowledge in order to have the conversation? Like you can just
Yeah.
see. It's like, oh fuck,
I've
they don't
tried.
know
I've
what
tried
basic
with these
economics
people.
are,
I've
right?
tried with people close to my family. I've tried to get them to read the Bitcoin Standard. I've tried to get them to read Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. I've tried to get them to read Anatomy of the State. Like they don't want to know.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's the
the
thing
frustrating
is
part.
they
Yeah,
don't want to know. They want
that's
to excuse. They want to just like fall back on this like idea that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just naive and
yeah. You
you
don't watch
know,
Fox News or One Nation or
yeah,
whatever the fuck it is.
yeah.
I mean, I mean, I love my dad, and again, that's I'm going hunting with him here shortly. I can't wait to do that. But that's always been the problem with him and I is I'll be like, well, how about you read this book that I and then
Yeah.
we talk about this, right? Oh, I'm not gonna read that. It's like, dude, and then it's like, oh, you're watching Fox News or whatever the fuck he's
Mhm.
watching, or he's watching. And now it's the latest YouTube
Yeah.
short clip that has Tucker Carlson, whoever the fuck it is, and he's like, yeah, did you see that was? And then I'm like, yeah, well, that's a fallacy for X, Y, and it's
Mhm.
like I can't even begin to be like, well, if you've never read Descartes or you've never read,
Yeah.
any of
And a
Sewell or
lot of
you've
it's
never
like
read,
and a lot of it's ageist. You're just young and dumb and you don't know what you're
yeah,
talking
that's
about.
always been the case. That's been since I was 5 years old, and
Yeah.
I asked him a question about something that I was
Yeah.
like, wait, that sounds wrong.
And it's like come back to me in 20 years when the money supply has been expanded 20x and we're $100 trillion in debt and tell me that Trump did something worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is probably the twilight portion of the conversation then.
Wow.
Did you
Hour
see? Yeah,
20. That went
it
fast.
it flies
Wow.
sometimes, doesn't it? I looked up too, and I was like, "Fuck." Did you see Weinstein's or whatever Eric Weinstein's prediction here?
No, I haven't
So
seen anything
there's
from him
Brett.
lately.
Yeah,
There's
well, there's
Brett and
Brett and there's
Eric. Brett's the evolutionary biologist. Eric's the mathematician.
exactly, and they're both
They're
leading to
both
the same.
good. They're both good.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. But in their recent like I would say conversations, because Brett has the Dark Horse podcast and Eric
which is not a good podcast, unfortunately. Him and
yeah, every now
his
and then.
wife has
Well,
got a horrible podcasting voice, and like I can't watch that podcast. But he's great on Twitter. I'll watch his tweets, and Eric is like one of the most interesting
yeah,
podcast guests on earth. Like
that I was gonna say. Eric
he's
doesn't
just
have
great.
yeah, Eric does a lot of good guessing spots, and he
Yeah.
did one
He used to have a
recently.
great podcast and he just stopped doing it. One of my favorite interviews that he did on his podcast was with Werner Herzog. Are you familiar with Werner Herzog?
The actor director guy,
Filmmaker. Yeah.
yeah,
So dude,
filmmaker guy, yeah.
he made a great movie that you should watch. I think it's free on YouTube. It's called Fitzcarraldo. So like Werner
Okay,
Herzog went to Egypt in like 70s or 80s or something like that. And he did like most people do, looked at the pyramids and goes, how did they do that?
mhm.
So he thought about it for years and he came up with this idea for how they could have done it. So he made this movie called Fitzcarraldo about an opera singer who wants to build an opera house in the middle of the rainforest in Brazil. And so they're like taking a ship across the Amazon River, and they end up like having to move the ship over a mountain. And so they
Okay.
do it with the ship and ropes and pulleys. And he actually did it. Like he built this whole thing out. It's
Oh, he's successful at it.
a really strange movie. Like at one point, like he had all of these like
Is it documentary or like
no,
reenactment
it's an actual movie. It's an actual
okay,
movie. And like the filmmaking's really great in it. The guy who's the main character is just a psycho. Like he's just weird as shit. And I guess like I heard Werner Herzog say that like at one point one of the chiefs of like the villages that he employed as like extras offered to kill the guy for him. But
because he was that fucked
it's
up.
just a really cool movie. Like he uses like actual rigging to like take a ship over a mountain.
Okay. And
Anyways,
so he's
go ahead.
successful.
Yeah.
So well, he's successful in this like theory of his, and he tests it
Yeah.
and is not like correlating it to
Yeah.
how they could have been done for the pyramids, basically.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
But
Interesting as fuck.
it's an interesting movie. It's like it's not a great movie. It's not a bad movie. It's an interesting movie. I'll say that.
That's fine. I've seen enough movies now where the quote unquote like blockbusters,
Yeah.
they're not doing it for me.
The filmmaking
And the B movies
like
I've gone through.
the cinematography is really good. Like there's a
Okay.
lot of great action. like nature shots. Like the shots are weird. Like a lot of them last too long. I'm sure you've seen the Nicolas Cage movie, Bad Lieutenant Port of Call.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of
That was a
his
Werner
bad
Herzog. That was
movies.
a Werner Herzog, and like
Okay.
there's a lot of similarities to that movie within Fitzcarraldo, and it's an interesting movie. Like as a lineman, somebody who used rigging a lot, like that's a lot of the job is rigging. Watching the rigging that takes place in that movie is pretty impressive.
So they did it right. It's not one of those where
Yeah.
you're just like throwing your fucking popcorn across. God
There's
damn it, they do
no
this every
CGI
time.
in that movie. Like he takes a ship over a mountain with rigging. It's fucking
Oh,
cool.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
I'll check it out for sure.
Back to
Honestly, I'll probably
Eric
watch it once
Weinstein.
we're done here.
I watched another movie last night that was interesting, not great. It was called Crimes of the Future. It was a David Cronenberg with Viggo Mortensen.
I love Cronenberg. I haven't Crimes of the Future. Doesn't even
Crimes
ring
of
a
the
bell.
Future. Yeah, it's
Let
like,
me write it down.
and so like he's done a couple good movies with Viggo Mortensen. He did Eastern Promises and A History
that's
of
a good one.
Violence. Those are both really good
Both
movies.
very good. Yeah.
This
yeah.
one I would put in that same category. Not a good movie, not a bad movie, an interesting movie. I won't give away any of it because you should watch it because it's just weird.
I have an obsession with collecting both books and movies,
Yeah.
like knowledge
It's
into
just
my brain.
weird, dude. Like it's about kind of, I'll give you the basics of it. It's about like people start generating new organs and then they like start using surgery as a performance art to like remove these organs and tattoo them. And it's fucking weird.
Whoa.
Yeah.
As I was
weird.
processing what you're saying, I was thinking of that Jude Law movie where they
Yeah.
Repo Men kind of a
Repo
thing.
Men, yeah.
But then you're like, wait, so they're growing extra organs that they don't
Mhm.
need, and then they're suffering through the pain as performance art to
Yeah.
get rid of the organ,
And it's
and
kind
they're
of
not
like,
going to die.
and it's kind of like a sexual experience.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
It's-
Viggo Mortensen's in this?
Yeah, he's fucking weird in the movie.
Fuck
too.
yeah.
Like it's there's like no, like the end of the movie just ends. There's like no resolution to it really, which is just weird. It just ends. And I
Hey,
was like,
sign
wait
me
a
up.
minute, that's it?
Sign me up. All right.
Yeah, it's weird. You'll
Um,
like it. Well, maybe you'll like it. I don't know.
I like all of it, even the shit that I don't like. There was I don't know if you've ever seen the movie with Sean Penn, Brad Pitt, Tree of Life. It's just like a series of clips of like, and again, to your point, like great cinematography, but I don't like, there's no story, there's no
Yeah.
purpose other than there's, it's just like somebody jerked off onto a film
Yeah.
and wanted to get a bunch of Oscars for it kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And so even then I like it for the fact that there's scenes in it where I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Had they just done that as a movie, that would have been cool if this
Yeah.
wasn't just a random 7-second clip in
Yeah.
this movie that otherwise is useless kind of a thing.
Have
So
you
I
ever seen
find
the
that
guy who did what's that movie called? District 9. What's that guy's name?
Blomkamp, Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah, Blomkamp. He has a YouTube channel. I think it's also on Netflix, but it's called
Yes.
Oats Studios. Have you seen that
Yes.
shit? Dude,
Yes. I
that
haven't seen
stuff-
all of it, but
That's
quite a few of 'em.
Like the one with like the reptilian aliens. That short fucking rips with Sigourney Weaver. Yeah.
so, I was gonna say, yeah, Sigourney Weaver. There's the one with the towers.
Yeah. The God
yeah,
one where like God's doing the like weird shit with the like board games almost. It's a
think-
weird series of movies, but that guy's a great filmmaker. He hasn't gotten enough budget to do.
I agree. Yeah,
films,
everything. But to your point, though, everything he has done has been interesting, even if it
Mhm.
hasn't been good every
Yeah.
single time. Like even Chappie, I
Chappie
found
was
like
great. I
interesting.
like Chappie.
See, I found interesting things in it, and I was like, there's just like I see why people didn't like it. I see why it didn't like work.
The
But
two actors that
you know,
he used were great. Like the weird South African gangsters,
musicians,
like
yeah,
that was
yeah.
a good choice of act. And like I don't know if you knew this, but like Shiloh Copley, whatever his name is, the guy that was the lead in District 9, he was not an actor. Like that was his first film,
I didn't know that. No,
and he was great in that movie.
because he's been in quite
Like
a few
District
things.
9 is one of the best like modern sci-fi movies.
100%.
The first time I watched that movie, I watched a bootleg version of it, and it didn't have subtitles for the aliens, and I thought it was better that way.
So you're just lost in the sauce as with like
But
the humans
he
were.
kind of like understands, so you still kind of get it. And
Like
something
context
tells me
clues,
is
yeah.
like when they first made that movie, there wasn't supposed to be subtitles, and then somebody decided along the lines that there had to be.
Mhm. See, it's funny. I watched District 9 in theaters. My brother and I were like big we wanted to see it because I don't remember if, you remember the campaign where it was like
Yeah.
an online campaign where you could
That
follow the
wasn't supposed to be
flyers.
a big movie. Like, that was a
Yeah.
small budget movie.
Yeah, it was grassroots for sure, like the
Sure.
website and
Yeah.
everything that they started up for it. It was very interesting, and I bought into it. I brought my little brother into it, and he was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be." And
Yeah.
then we went to the theaters. My dad took us, and he hated it. He was like, "The fuck was that?" And my brother and I were just like, "That was incredible. What do you
Yeah.
mean? What was that?" Like
It's
he was like,
great.
"That wasn't even a movie. It was just like shaky cam, blah blah blah." I was like, "Oh my!" Again, how do
Yeah.
I even
Generational
begin with
gap,
you? Yeah,
you
how do
know?
I begin with you? You know, like this
Generational
is.
gap. It's a problem.
Yeah, how do I give you the knowledge necessary to have the
Yeah.
conversation to tell you why you're so wrong right now? I don't
Yeah.
even understand.
Yeah.
But
You were talking
uh
about Eric Weinstein, and I totally derailed you.
we're weaving. We weave. We always weave, Nick. We always weave. Um Eric and Brett are pretty, let's just say, pessimistic about our future. And I was curious, as we're talking about, like, fast forward 20 years and what the inflation does to our country, what happens to our country after a certain point. I hate to be, because I've seen this like ebb and flow a couple times, in my lifetime. Like specifically in high school, and then let's say 2012.
How old were you
There's
in
the
2008?
how old was I? 13?
See,
13,
you
14?
didn't experience it in the same way that I did. I was like 22. So, dude,
Okay.
it was
It
fucking
hit.
brutal. It was
Yeah.
brutal, man. There was no jobs, you
I
know?
saw I saw it hit my dad. Like, I
Yeah.
saw the effects on the family
Like,
and everything.
everybody that I knew was having problems with work. Like, if you didn't work for the power company, or if you didn't have like a city job or something like that, like I saw guys who had been working HVAC for 20 years lose their jobs and have to grow weed, like it was just brutal for people.
Yeah. Where'd that come from? Where was the '08
That was
like
the
in terms of like the
financial crisis.
fallout?
That was the financial crisis.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
That was
Well, like,
the
I'm familiar with what it
subprime
was. I was
mortgages.
asking.
Yeah, like there was just no jobs in Northern California, man. And like
Gotcha.
everybody was just fucked, dude. Like all the small towns, like north of San Francisco, shit gets different. Like
Mhm.
it's a different fucking state than it is in Los Angeles or
100%,
San
yeah.
Diego. Like it's
Yeah.
just a different thing. And like people who've been working construction their entire lives had no work. Plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, like there was just
Mhm.
no work for people because the economy was just so fucked. Like everybody was losing their homes, it was just a nightmare. And like we're gonna see that again.
Well, that's okay, so I see where your
Yeah.
connection point to it
Like
was.
this is
That's
the business cycle, like the last major downturn was kind of stayed by COVID,
yeah.
like COVID was a way to shut down the economy and inject trillions of dollars into
And then
the
we pumped it
system.
up, yeah.
And it kind of like allowed life support into the economy where otherwise
Almo
we would have had just this major financial crisis. And like it's gonna happen again soon. Like right now I saw a tweet about this. I've seen multiple tweets about this, but like we are at the lowest active home buyers on the market that we've ever seen in history. Lower than
Yeah.
29, lower than 2008. Like there is nobody that can afford a home in this country right now.
Yeah. And that's the pessimism, that pessimistic pessimism that the Weinsteins, because I know they get,
Yeah. They don't want to
about
be.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to be associated with him.
Yeah.
But why I've seen this there's a good book called The Fourth Turning,
Yeah.
Fourth
Yep.
Turning,
I
that also
saw I
covers.
saw a graph where it showed like where we are according to
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
recently. I saw it like just on Twitter the other day,
Well,
and like we're
the
on the
problem
downslide.
the problem that a lot of people overlook or forget is similar to like in '08. You could see the writing on the wall, and you didn't know how bad it was going to be.
Mhm.
And as bad as it was, guess what? The US is still the, quote unquote, is still the US. Like,
Yeah.
it is still a solvent entity, we'll say. Um there is some significant I don't know. There is a case, and Weinstein's have been making this case more and more lately, where I'm starting to buy into it. I hate to be the doom and gloom with it sometimes, because again, I've seen these ebbs and flows, similar to like the fourth turning explanation or description of these, like ebbs and flows and events throughout history and throughout human history. But this is one of those where how big of this bubble are we in right now? And
Yeah.
specifically, if you look at like the US bubble
Mhm.
post World War II, if that is one of those bubbles, has been and is proving to be until it pops the biggest bubble in human history.
Mhm.
We've never seen something like this.
Yeah, the end
We've
of the
never
everything bubble, that's what
exactly.
they
And
they
what was the
literally
everything
call it.
bubble to your point? '08, the
Mhm.
everything bubble, that made a country, multiple countries, but like Greece, you read Yanis Varoufakis' work where he was the financial prime minister in Greece during that time. We made multiple countries insolvent. We made multiple governments, multiple, economies completely collapse
Yeah,
because of our shitty, poor decisions, but
yeah,
we were able to weather
and
the storm
people are
because of the
pulling
bubble we
out of our
exist in.
debt right now, like, Japan just dumped a bunch of US debt, China dumped a bunch of US debt, they're buying gold, like, this is not
It's
good.
around the corner.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
not
around the
good,
corner.
you know?
And the point is, what does that actually look like? Uh, Eric he was a guest on I forget the guy's show. He's like a European British dude.
Oh, Modern Wisdom.
Yeah, I think it was Modern
He
Wisdom.
does that show
He
once a year or so.
yeah, he was well, yeah, exactly. He was based Weinstein was making a very, compelling, point basically of like I don't know what it's going to look like because nobody knows really what this can look like. The closest thing that anybody can like compare it to would be like a major extinction event. This is like the extinction of the modern economic, system
Horror.
that we
Yeah.
currently and if you think about it like electricity, you think about like the banking structure, you think about like trade routes, all of these things are dependent on the current, like economic ebb and flow
Mhm.
that we as the superpower have propped up and have made,
Mhm.
available to the world that we currently like depend on and take for granted. If that was to pop, that is again, like you said, like a major extinction event. The amount of, and if you just do the raw numbers, I don't know if you've ever, there's I forget the author's name. He does 3 minutes post, like what is it, like Doomsday 3 minutes, then it's 3 days. Oh, that's what it's
Yeah.
called. So the next 3 minutes, the next 3 days, the
Yeah.
next 3 months. Great books, but they're fantasy, right? But
Mhm.
they're like speculative science fiction. And if you've ever crunched the numbers, is a good portion of like cities specifically, which is where a lot of our population is condensed, dies within the first week.
Yeah.
Within the first 10 days,
Yeah. That's what I
usually
always
because
tell
of
people
water.
when they're buying, like, prepper equipment is buy enough for a month. If it's
Yeah,
past a month, you're not gonna be able to accumulate enough resources to survive because after a month of no power, it never comes back on, you
it
know?
exactly.
Like, typically after 2 weeks, and, like, the DoD has done studies on this, like, there's just no after, like, a major, like, EMP event or something like that where
Like a
all the
blackout.
power
Yeah.
goes out, after a couple weeks, it doesn't come back.
Hmm.
So if you're planning on surviving for the long term, you're going to have to be accumulating a ton of resources.
Yeah.
If like the best you can do is survive in the downtime between when the grid goes off and when it comes back on in a couple weeks. And again, like if it doesn't come on within a couple weeks, you're basically fucked
You're
because
talking about,
you
yeah,
would
world
need
ending.
like years of resources and skills. You would have to have construction skills, hunting skills. You would have to have like the guns and ammo to, keep people from stealing your resources. Like it's just a
Hmm.
game that you're not going to win.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, look, that's the real zombie horde right there.
Yeah.
Is like you said, if you don't have the, infinite
Mhm.
ammunition, cheat code,
And even if you have a
people are
prepper
gonna.
site, like if you've got a ranch that you're prepping for the end of the world, if you're not within like reach of walking distance from that ranch all the time, you're fucked. Like
Yeah, you're not
imagine
gonna
if
get to
you've
it.
got a ranch that's 20 miles from your house and you're at a volleyball game for your daughter, 2 towns over when the event happens. You're fucked. You're never getting there.
Yeah, yeah. I've played this scenario out a couple times with my buddy Morpheus specifically. He's much better now. And when we first had this conversation, he was, blissfully ignorant of the situation, and I was like, well, here's the route. This is where we rendezvous. This is how we would do it, and that's if we survive. I was
Yeah,
like,
and you're in the
legitimately,
right place when it happens, you know?
yeah, yeah,
That's a big
exactly,
part of the book
exactly.
that I'm writing is, like, you've got a prepper family that's not in town when the event happens, and they're on the other side, they're in a different county in Northern
Like, luckily,
California that's separated by a mountain. You're not getting there. You're not getting to your stuff.
Yeah, 100%. See, and that was the pessimistic part that was, being voiced there. I was like, it's hard to argue with that, where it's like you don't want it to be true, but it's like, again, just run the math, just
Mhm.
crunch the numbers. Again, within 10 to 14 days, 90% of the population will be dead,
Yeah.
and that's something that I don't think a lot of people are prepared. And again, a lot of it there are preparation, strategies, and there
Mhm.
are like worst case scenarios written up there for said situations. But let's say the bubble bursts tomorrow, and it's not even that the power goes out, it's just that there is no fuel for
Mhm.
the engine that we've created.
Mhm.
Then the engine stops, and again, it's not like we can't turn the lights on. It's just that there is no fuel
Yeah.
to turn anything, the
Yep.
whole economy across the world. And like you said, if that lasts more than 2 weeks, now we're talking about it's probably not coming back on,
It's not.
because to
Like,
that
even
end,
the communication issue, imagine you have to get all of your linemen to different areas at the same time, and you don't have communications because the EMP was big enough to knock out walkie-talkies and cell
yeah,
phones. Like,
yeah.
how are first of all, you've got linemen who are gonna wanna stay home and protect their families. How are you gonna mobilize them and communicate with them? You
Exactly.
know?
Start the
Like,
mobilization.
yeah, you
You're gonna go
can't.
door to door.
You can't.
Yeah, it's again, and I hate to, and I want to also preface that I don't want it to happen tomorrow, but it's also one of
No.
those things where it's like you gotta plan for the worst
Yeah.
situation. And
And here's another
when
bad situation is like right now our power grid is basically expanding at 3 to 5% a year. I don't think that
mm,
expansion is capable of like sustainability at this point. Most of our new generation is going to go to data centers, you know.
yeah,
And like I think we've hit peak AI in the near future because like you're going to have to add a ton of energy to the grid in order to take this thing to the next level. So what happens when the investment in AI runs out? You
yeah,
know, where's the influx of money going to come from at that point, you know? Like it's we're not in a good position right now. You know,
yeah.
people
It's
can't afford
honestly, it's
homes, we can't build anything, you know, prices are going crazy. Like it's not like 5 years from now it's going to be easier for millennials and Gen Z to buy a house. It's just going to get harder and harder and harder. It's becoming harder every year to expand our grid, you
yeah,
know, in that 3 to 5% range that we need to expand it by in order to like, you know, even though we're not at like replacement rate birth, you know, status at this point, like we're still expanding our population immensely every year. Like, you know, we're adding millions and millions of people, and we're bringing in millions and millions of immigrants. Like the country is not sustainable at this point.
yeah. I mean, honestly, and it hasn't been for a while, to where the reckoning has to, the balancing of this
COVID
has
was
to,
really like the nail in the coffin, you know,
yeah,
like with as much money that was added to the money supply at that point, like it just basically destroyed the middle class in this country, you know,
it really
like
did. Yeah,
it brought it to a point where your haves and have nots, and like the have nots, you know, as it continues to become harder and harder to improve your economic status within the country, there's going to be more and more unrest.
that's yeah. I was noticing that the other day with, I was seeing a lot of the price comparisons, again, back down to the simplest part
Yeah.
of
And I
economics, of
think we're at
inflation.
like kind of a lull in the storm right now because like so many
Maybe.
people have confidence that Trump is turning everything around. But as soon as he's gone, like there's going to be no more excuses. You know, like that cult following that he has is going to kind of dissipate because whoever
Yeah.
comes in next is not going to be like, is not going to have that same, you know, vi- virulent, you know, dick rider mentality behind this person, and like it's not getting better, like it's going to get worse and worse every year. The more you give these fucking, you know, scumbags like a license to print money, the more they're going to print every year and the higher inflation is going to get. And like right now you've got these dick riders who are just completely excusing everything that Trump's doing, but like once that's gone, it's gone, you know.
I don't know that that even matters, to the point that I agree that it does right now, but I think that those dick riders will be one of the first to jump ship. Let's say,
That's what I mean.
you know,
That's what I mean. Like, so
yeah, okay,
once, like, these dick riders are excusing everything that Trump's doing. Oh, he's making things better. It's just taking time, blah, blah, blah. The same
Mhm.
conversation that you've had with your dad that I've had with my mom's husband. Like that's happening all over the country right now with everybody. But once that's gone, now you've got no more excuses to make for people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I also wonder because previously it was like a lot of these dick writers were writing Biden, and
Yeah,
now they're writing MAGA. And prior to that, it was Obama because he's the first black president or whatever.
sure.
I feel like all of those go very is similar to like the WNBA, right? The writing on the wall once you get into that corner becomes so apparent, and I think nobody, I don't think I know, it's similar to like that the Joker quote, right? They'll these civilized people will eat each other
Mhm,
because if you turned out tomorrow, things are getting more expensive every day, right?
mhm.
If you went out tomorrow and your paycheck did not change, you got your paycheck, on the 1st and the 15th, and then on the 16th, let's just say fucking, gas went from $5 a gallon to
Yeah.
$50 a gallon.
And dude, like we're
There's no
never going below $3 again, in my opinion.
ever.
It's never
Yeah.
gonna happen. Your $20 burrito that everybody's up in arms over on Twitter right now is gonna be $40 in 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. So there is going to be that tipping point. That was what Weinstein was like the point that I remember, most specifically is like there is this tipping point. Wherever it is, like if it's tomorrow or if it's next month, we don't know, but it's so clear and there is such a like a momentum that we can grab the helm, we can stave it off as long as we want or try to, but we're in this, runaway. We're in this spiraling
We're in the
fucking
shit,
drain.
Hermes.
Yeah. There's no there at this point, whether we lean into it or lean away from it, we're still going the same direction. And again, it puts it into perspective when tomorrow, milk is $100, gas is, $100 a gallon,
Yep.
and
Dude, I paid like $50 the other day to put a couple gallons in my car and fill up a 5-gallon gas tank for my lawnmower.
yeah, I mean, I notice it. I drive a Challenger. I notice it very,
Yeah.
very quickly
Yeah,
in my car.
for sure.
And every time I'm shopping around, I'm just trying to save 10 cents a gallon
Yeah.
between this gas station, that kind of a thing. And even still, gas, I've gone to the same point where, and I was thinking about this too, where there was a moment when when I had just joined the military. I'd maybe been in the military for like 2 or 3 years, and comparing it to where I was when I was like struggling post college, where I was working 3 jobs, 4 jobs at a time. I was barely making ends meet, and let's say I would make X amount per week or per month, and 90% of it was like rent, electricity, you like utilities, my phone bill. I didn't even have a car. Like I was barely scraping by. I had like $20 left over at the end of the month, kind of a thing. And then I fast forward, 2, 3 years. I'm like, oh wow, I've really improved my situation. I'm really doing much better. Like I'm not struggling as much. I have $200 at the end of the month rather than 20. And then I fast forward from 2 to 3 years into the military. Now I'm 10 years in the military, and I'm looking at the inflation that has just gone crazy. And I'm kind of in the same situation that I was
Yeah.
in college,
Yeah.
post college, where it's like
Maybe you have
because
$400 a month, but that 400 doesn't buy what the 200 did.
exactly. And not only that, it's like, and good luck putting anything into savings. Good luck
Mhm.
putting anything into investing or
Yeah.
sparing for anybody, like a birthday
Yeah.
or anywhere, anything else. It's like, so if you're just barely scraping by, and then, let's not even take into account, like I said, with the inflation, where the debt is.
Mhm.
People often forget where like how debt is concrete. Inflation be
42% of
damned.
people's income taxes right now is going to the interest on our debt.
Jesus
42%,
Christ. Jesus.
which means you're working 40% of the days that you work per year just to pay off the debt that these fucking monsters in the
Yes.
government are
That's
accumulating.
exactly the point. Where a lot of people overlook that, where if they get their 2,000, 5,000,
This is the
10,000 a
most
month.
important thing in the world. Like right now, like it's easy to get bogged down in the Charlie Kirk thing. It's easy to get bogged
Yeah,
down in the WNBA thing. The most important thing in the world right now is inflation.
yeah, exactly, and that's the point that I took from Weinstein, where it's like the tipping point. I mean, again, it feels like inevitable. You can see, just crunch the numbers.
Mhm.
It has to hit a wall, just like those that were calling it in 06, 07,
Mhm.
leading into 08. It's like we don't know. We feel like it should have
Mhm.
already hit, but it will. even though
Yeah.
it hasn't yet, it will. It is going to happen.
Mhm.
No matter what you say or, how much you ignore it, it's gonna fucking happen. And the bubble that we are at now with all of these like building, factors up to this
Mhm.
point is going to be something that again, Weinstein kind of scared me the last like the
It's a
last interview
scary
he
thing,
did.
man. Like, this is
He
real. Like, this is
well,
the
he was
real
like, this is
problem with the country is inflation, you know? Like, and that's why they get us bogged down in all of these cultural debates, you know?
distract us, right? Yeah.
Distractions over the real problem, which is the money printing. The money machine just doesn't stop. Money printer go burr, you know, like that's the
Yeah.
real fucking problem, you know?
Yeah, and it like you said, that is the biggest problem. I mean, fuck all of this. I
Yeah.
mean, we talk about all this other stuff,
Hmm.
but that is legitimately, it
That's
scared
the
me.
big fucking problem. You know, I think I may have brought this up. I know I've told this story on the podcast before, but I think I've maybe talked about it with you, but it's worth like
Repeating it.
revisiting. The thing that has pissed me off more than anything about Rand Paul, like I
Mm,
typically I agree with Rand Paul. I think what he's doing with Fauci is a very good thing. Like this guy's a fucking piece of shit, and we didn't even
yeah,
talk
we
about
gotta. Yeah,
all the Fauci shit that went down, but everybody saw it. We don't need to
there's too
really,
much to
yeah,
catch
we
up
don't really
on.
need to revisit that type of thing, you know. The thing that really pissed me off was recently. This is within the last year. He did some interview where he was talking about the middle class, and he's like, "Look, the middle class is bigger than it's ever been in our country. Like things aren't as bad as everybody says it is. Like look at how massive the middle class is." So here's the deal with this. There's
Mm,
always going to be a median in the country, a median economic, you know, position. There's always going to be a middle class. The real question is what is the purchasing power of the middle class?
of that
And right
median, yeah.
now, that median, the purchasing power has fallen off a fucking cliff. So yeah,
Again,
maybe the middle class is bigger than it's ever been. Like I could get on board with that. Like by the numbers, probably the
yeah,
median is bigger than it's ever been. But that does not mean that the purchasing power, like there's a great tweet that I saw a while back that I know I brought up on the podcast before where it was like, I need Bitcoin to go to $1 million so I can live like a 1970s electrician.
yep, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
exactly what that tweet means is the purchasing power of the current middle class American has fallen off a fucking cliff. When I was, you know, 15, 16, my family was middle class. My dad was a lineman, my mom was a paralegal. We had a motorhome, we raced dirt bikes every weekend, we went on a couple of vacations a year. That is not happening anymore.
mhm. Yeah. It was there was a great
We had a
equation
boat.
recently.
We had a boat.
There,
A boat. So we were driving home from dinner the other day and we were driving by this wakeboarding boat and somebody was like, "How much do you think that boat costs?" And I was like, "I don't know, probably 110, 120 grand." I looked it up on the internet. It was $160,000 for a wakeboarding boat. My parents bought a brand new ski boat in 93 for $19,000.
there you go. Exactly.
The
Well,
technology hasn't changed. It's a fiberglass hull. It has a V8 engine. Like the new wakeboarding boat, sure, it's got a better sound system. It's got the pumps for the wake, and you know, it's got a couple of other doodads that their 1993 ski
a
boat didn't have.
hundred and
But
fifty
it's not
thousand
a
more.
$100,000, $120,000 worth of doodads. You know, like this is like stereo systems are fucking cheap.
Yeah,
It's a
that's where
fiberglass hull with a V8 engine. Come on. I bought
think
a
of
brand
gold,
new
right?
pickup in 2005. It was a used, it had 30,000 miles. It was a rental before I bought it. I paid $19,000 for it.
It's a
That
good deal.
same pickup today is close to 100 grand.
A
Nothing has
hun-
changed about that truck. It's the
Except
same
inflation, like you
motor.
said,
It's
purchasing power.
it's the same motor, it's the same body, the safety features haven't gone up. It had a CD player back then and now it's got a plug-in for your iPod, which is probably cheaper, you
Well, I
know?
was gonna say less hardware. What are you talking
Exactly.
about?
Like it's crazy, you know?
Well, look at gold. The equation that I saw recently was the if you look at like 1 ounce of gold,
Minimum wage in like the 50s bought you like $500,000 worth of gold
a hundred,
today
yeah.
in today's pricing.
Look at similar to like savings accounts, in interest earned on previous money, what it's worth now, what versus what it was worth then. If you had an ounce back then versus an ounce today, the difference would be you owning basically like a Rockefeller level if you had 1 ounce today in terms of money that it's worth equivalent to what it's worth back then.
Yeah.
So I forget the exact verbiage of the equation and like the conclusion, but it was your grandparents' interests that they are earning off of their, that their savings account, if it was gold, is outpacing the entire US economy for all
Yeah.
of you quote unquote middle class. So
Yeah.
congratulations on joining that middle class and,
Yeah.
in inflating and in growing said
Yeah.
middle class. But all of you put together are less than the interest that they're earning alone
Mm-hmm.
on what they've already put away, 20, 30 years
Yeah.
ago because of the like you said, the purchasing power of the
Yeah.
dollar today.
I
So
saw a video on X a while back. This is probably a year or two ago, where this couple found, like, they were cleaning out their grandfather's house and they found a box in the attic that had like $30,000 in cash in it, and they were so
oh,
happy. They're like, "Oh my god, like we're
problem
so
solved.
glad that he did this. It's changed our life. This is gonna help us buy a car or a house or whatever." They're so happy, and then like I'm thinking, and the post says this. I'm like, your grandfather fucked you. You
Yeah.
know, if he would have bought gold, you'd be a millionaire.
100. You would never have to work again. $30,000 back then would have been a millionaire,
Yeah.
and today it's
20
not
ounces
even
of
enough to
gold or
buy a
something like
car.
that. You'd be a fucking millionaire if you
Like you
just
said, it
wouldn't have.
can't even buy a
Like, the
truck
worst thing you can do right now is keep your money in cash. That is the worst thing you can do for yourself, for your family, for your future, is keep your money in cash. You have to
unless
put
it's month to month.
every fucking dollar that you can afford to save into some sort of hard asset. Bitcoin,
Yes.
gold, silver. Like, I'm not a big stock market guy, but there are some stocks that, you can get into. Like, do not keep your money in cash. I fucking beg you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many times, but at the same time, this all is predicated on the idea or the premise that it's going to be okay tomorrow too. That's the biggest, issue. And the thing that hard assets that a lot of people have gotten away from, even our
Mhm.
own government,
And dude, like,
we
right
used to be
now,
backed by
you're
the
in a
fucking
good
gold.
position. So, like, what I was saying about 2008, you had to have a job for the power company. You had to have a job for the city. You had to work for the water company, something
Yeah.
like that. Those are the guaranteed income jobs that were like profitable within that downturn. Because, like me, working as a bartender, they just weren't hiring at bars, even
Sure.
in the cities around where I live, like, they just weren't hiring. But what happens when the government all of a sudden just sends out a memo to all the armed service and says, "Sorry, we can't afford to pay you this month."
Dissolved. You
That's
know,
what happened to the Soviet Union. They just ran out of money.
exactly. Exactly. And we were the wife and I were talking about that. I was like, look, this is why we have a cabin in this
Yeah.
northern state, because should that happen tomorrow, I'm not going to wait for the AWOL letter to come through because we weren't showing up because we weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
We're going to be long since on the, because like
Yeah.
you said, what
And I
happened to the
hope,
Soviet Union?
like you said, you're taking every dollar that you can possibly afford to save and putting it into some sort of hard asset. Like, that's
I'm well, without, let's not talk about the portfolio.
amounts. Yeah, we
It's
don't need to
diverse.
talk about
Yeah, exactly.
amounts.
It's diverse. We'll say the
I will
portfolio
say
is
that
diverse.
90% of my portfolio is in hard assets.
It has to be, and that's the problem or not even the problem. That's the issue with like hoping for tomorrow, or like putting your eggs into the hope of tomorrow rather than plan for tomorrow. Is a lot of people that I talk to are like, oh well, the military has great investment opportunities, I would say, and oftentimes you go to a
I
new
would rather
station, they
invest
always
that money myself than put it into some bullshit 401k that the military wants to
that's
invest you
all it
in.
that's all it ultimately is. And when I first joined, it was the old grandfather 401k.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. Every single station we get to, they remind you, like, "Hey, we have this
Yeah.
updated one," and hey,
Let us
it
use
could
your money and then give you
exactly.
nothing in return.
And I've always opted out of it. I'm always like, "Hey guys, this is all predicated on the fact that this stays together
Trust.
and that
It's
this and
predicated on trust.
exactly trust." And frankly, I didn't trust you when I joined. I'm not trusting you now. So I put it in,
You
like
see how they
even
treat
if
people when they get out of the military. They kick them to the curb like they're fucking garbage. So what makes you think that they care about you while you're in?
what stays with a humidity control, a couple humidity controllers and a couple safes is ammunition, firearms, and like you said, hard assets,
Hard
heavy metals,
assets.
silvers, gold, coppers, etc.
Bitcoin.
So Yeah, Bitcoin. The other day I was telling the wife, I was like, yeah, at the end of the day, if shit hits the fan and it really happened, like I really think it's gonna happen, I'll just sell all my Bitcoin. We have the cabin. We just gotta, get water. We gotta get food. We gotta get fuel. Put all those into a tanker truck and head fucking north.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, yeah, hard assets, even gold will only be valuable after everything settles, settles down. Nobody's gonna give a shit about gold
Some
if
sort
they
of
don't have
currency
food.
will emerge as the base currency for
Sure,
trade.
sure, sure.
Like that's the nature of currencies. And this is like I guess I can get into my I've recommended this book on here before, but my required reading would be if you've never read a book on economics, read Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. It's an
Mhm.
easy read. There's another great book called fuck, I don't remember what it's called, but it's by Robert Murphy. It's called Choice, and it's kind of about Ludwig von Mises's book on economics. I don't remember what it's called. It's a tough read, but Choice or Economics in One Lesson, and learn about like the nature of economics, because like that's what's going to save you at this point is like
Not
getting into hard assets, realizing that your dollars are fucking worthless. Weimar Germany, man, people had, you know,
Yeah,
like
the franc or
piles and
whatever it
piles
was.
of money that was worth fucking nothing. Zimbabwe, same fucking thing, like
Exactly.
their currencies became absolutely worthless overnight, and they weren't worth the checks that the money was printed on,
They had to burn it for
hmm
fucking
for
warmth.
fire, like this
Exactly.
is it's not an if scenario, it's a win scenario. And like I think that a lot of the people who have been like the Peter Schiff type people who have been calling for the end of the everything bubble for 20 years, like I do think that it may happen in our lifetime, it may not. I think that they're going to limp this system by for as long as they possibly can, and I think they're gonna inflate the currency to just out of control levels, and your wages are just not going to keep up with inflation, so you're gonna get slowly and slowly poorer. But I'm not convinced that, like, in our lifetimes, we're gonna see the dollar turn into paper, you know what I mean? Like, it's slowly doing it every
I don't know.
day, but I
Exponential growth is a bitch, man,
yeah,
is all I'm
but
saying.
dude, like the best thing you can do for yourself, for your family, for your future is hard assets. Like that is just the bottom line at this point. And like, if you don't believe me, read those books. They
100%.
I
100%.
think that Austrian economics is the only true version of economics. It's like
Yeah.
economics, the way like objective truth is fucking laid out. Like this is the way economics is. And
Yeah.
it will show you like why this is important. And at this point, you shouldn't need much convincing because you can see it every day. You
Mhm.
see it
Yeah, and
happening every fucking day. The amount of money that you are bringing in from your job is buying you less and less and
less and
less.
less. Yeah. And it comes down to though, do you want to actually learn it?
Yeah,
We have these conversations with, like I always point to my dad. It's like, here's this book, please read
yes.
it. But if you
They
don't
don't
want
want
to
to.
fuck it, just please be
Dude,
open
it's
to
it's
fucking learning.
ostrich with your head in the sand. They don't want to know.
Just that's why I say this prediction. I'm curious if Weinstein's prediction is accurate, but again,
That
exponential
was
growth
his
is a
job
bitch.
for years was to forecast markets for Peter Thiel.
Yeah.
That's what he
I
did.
mean, well, Varoufakis though, no, I won't even get into him because I disagree with most of his conclusions.
Sure.
Point is though, point is that at at the end of the day, we have this exponential growth, and we have been in this exponential curve for at least the last 5 to 10 years, if not 20. If we've been in it for 20, then you're looking at the convergence of AI.
Mhm.
We're looking at the convergence of this bubble,
And people
economically
need to
speaking, across.
understand the fucking theory of exponentialism, you know? Like
Mm,
this is not a steady up. This is
no,
a up and fucking up
and
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 up and up. The
into
nature
yeah,
of an exponential curve is just fucking crazy.
exactly. And if we're on that up now, we're no longer in something that we can comprehend as increasing. We're again, as we speak, it's increased, tenfold.
Yeah. And dude,
Yeah, we're
other
we're
countries right now are fucking not trusting America to keep this fucking game going, you know?
rightfully so because
We don't even
we
have the
put ourselves in the
military
corner.
advantage anymore. Like Iran has completely exposed our military theory is outdated. We are building
Yeah,
these big, beautiful ships, like Trump likes to say, big, beautiful ships, where like other countries are spending their money on drones.
right. the difference.
A couple drones is able to shut down a strait that, is responsible for 40% of the oil and fertilizer. Like, we haven't even seen the actual like effects of what shutting that strait looks like yet. Right now, we're seeing the effects of COVID. It takes a long time for these things to like work their ways through the economic system, right? So
Yeah.
like we're like there's many different, institutions that are forecasting massive famine throughout the world in the next, you know, 6 months to 2 years because
And
of the
yeah.
nature of like most of the fuel for fertilizer goes through that strait, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Right now,
again, this
gas is only at $4 because we've been dumping all of our reserve fuel into the system. That reserve fuel is running out.
I'm telling you, man, when it convert, I'm telling you, all these factors converging relatively at the same time. If you're
Mhm,
talking about all of these things converging within a 6, 12 month, even 24 month period, we are so fucked that
mhm.
again, imagination probably pales in comparison to what it's going to look like when 90% of the people are looking at the next week. I mean, I just it is hilarious to me when people, fail to grasp what tomorrow looks like and then what tomorrow then brings, you know? So you look at what tomorrow is, it's like, oh, I assume it's the same as it was yesterday. And if it's not, the ill prepared, nature that is a majority of the world is comical. It really is. I mean, and I've had this realization a couple times, luckily in a position to where I could, most of us have had this in a position where we can recover from it. But there is
I
again,
don't
this
think
is
that most people have had this realization. I really don't.
not to the life and death point, but realization where you understand, oh wow, I took for granted running water. And running
I think
water
people
means
live for
I
the
can
next football game next weekend. I think that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
most people in our country live for.
100%.
I
Yeah.
think
And
they're
and
all they're looking forward to is the next football game. They're not thinking about where their food comes from. They're not thinking about what the money supply is doing. They're looking at football and basketball and baseball, and they're not paying attention to what's really burning down around them.
the connection points though are just it is comical if it
The
all dries
actual
up, if it all runs out.
the actual levers that like, supply the world with food and energy.
Yeah. Energy being the biggest one,
Yeah.
honestly, that a lot of people overlook and take for granted. It's again, it's scary. Weinstein was talking about it, and it legitimately scared me. Where I was like, you know what?
What happens when all of these data centers are up and running with energy and we're getting rolling blackouts and our power bills are through the fucking roof? We're going to start, like Tim Dillon was saying, like we're going to see like homegrown terrorists that are bombing data centers.
Oh yeah, that's inevitability. I think the crazier, scarier part is if we have these pockets of self sufficiency, like nuclear power, and whatever, and it's with the huge haves and the rest of the 90%, 99% that have nots. And it's like, who are you actually facilitating any of this data center for? Who are you actually facilitating any of this product for? Because you don't have a customer base anymore. And all of a sudden, you see this back and forth between the haves and have nots, where again, these connection points all of a sudden, that we took for granted as like codependent or interdependent dissolve.
Our
And all of a
relationship
sudden we
with China
realize,
is a codependent relationship. They make our
mm,
products, we buy them. What
yeah.
happens when they
And
stop supplying our products anymore? You know,
well,
who
then
is more reliant on that relationship, us or China? Us. You
oh,
know,
for sure, for
China's
sure.
a dictatorship essentially. They can decide all of a sudden we're not going to do that, and they don't care what happens to the people.
At the same time, then what do they do? Like, if they're not facilitating, if they're not getting any influx of the, let's just say money into their, production, into their economy, into their country, what do they do? What to what end? Do they just cease production and stop for, wait us out and then do what? Like take over because everybody else is dead around the world and what spread? I mean, like it's to what end? And
You got that
ultimately,
fourth
all of these
turning where
things.
we're on the downside and China's on the upside.
Sure, sure, sure. I think because of the global connected, I mean, who is it? Friedman's nexus of the or olive in the nexus tree or nexus of the
Mhm.
olive tree. The globalization, this interconnectedness that we again have enjoyed in our entire lifetime, is really vulnerable,
Fragile.
and they're fragile. Yeah, exactly. And again, that interdependency that we have again
Yeah.
taken for granted as something that
You
has
got all
just been
these
here since we've been alive.
you got all these idiots who, like, when the Strait of Hormuz closed out, "Oh, it doesn't matter. We're net oil producers." Yeah, well, we don't fucking process any of our own oil. We ship our oil out to be processed elsewhere, and we import oil in to be processed here.
Yeah, and all of our refineries have been shutting down the last 5 years. I don't know if you
They're
knew
all
this.
worn out. They can't
Yeah.
build new ones in time. It takes
Well,
years and massive investment to build a refinery.
not to mention, oh, well, that's anti-green, and we're all about green
Yeah,
now, so we were not even gonna approve you to,
yeah.
improve to build another one or to improve your previous refinery. So it's like, tie both hands behind your back, blindfold yourself, and then,
Shoot
you
yourself in the
know,
foot.
jump off a cliff. Let's see if you can
Yeah,
swim.
yeah.
It's like we're I don't know, this corner that we put ourselves into. It is a scary one. So if anything, yeah, this a lot of the latest scuttlebutt in the last week or two has led me into that position of like, I'm glad that
You're
you and I have
fucked.
both similar feeds and have similar solutions to it, which is
Yeah.
realize what's concrete, realize what's solid, realize what's
Look out
legitimate.
after you. Don't
Yeah,
worry about what's going on in DC at this point. Like, it's fucked. It's going to be fucked for the foreseeable future.
yeah,
They're
there's no
not
coming
looking
back.
out for your better interests. It doesn't matter which party is in office. The Republicans are going to spend money on the warfare state, and the Democrats are going to spend money on the welfare state. Like,
Yep.
they're going to keep printing money, as Michael Taylor always says. They're going to keep printing money. And
Whatever the
that's the
reason.
big takeaway. You got to insulate yourself with hard assets. It's the only
100%.
thing you can possibly do.
Yeah. I preaching to the choir. I couldn't agree more. We've given a couple required readings.
Yeah.
I have some required viewings.
Ooh.
I'm really interested in this Werner
Yeah.
Herzog's movie.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's a good one. It's fun.
I'm gonna watch this once we're done here.
Yeah. It's
I probably have
fucking
to leak
weird.
like a fucking racehorse.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. It's weird, though. You'll probably like it. You might not, but it'll be an interesting watch either way. And same
I'm,
with Crimes of the Future. Like, you may not like it. I didn't necessarily like it. I didn't hate it, but it was weird, which
it's one of
I'm
those that
down
wrinkle the
for a weird
brain.
movie every once in a while, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna text you as I'm as I'm watching him. Be like,
Yeah, dude.
all right, yeah, you
I
nailed
think
it, or maybe
let
not.
me see if Fitzcarraldo's available for free on YouTube. I
I Well, again, my buddy Swim, let's say, someone who isn't me, doesn't doesn't bother paying for anything anymore. They've got
Yeah,
all the streaming
it's free on
services.
YouTube.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
perfect. Or excuse me, my buddy Swim has taken to the pirate seven seas
Mhm.
because fuck,
Yeah.
Netflix, fuck, they're all, here's an ad, pay extra for
Yeah.
no ads, and then in 1 month the ad is right back to
Yep.
you, and you can pay extra
It's
again.
more
Fuck you,
expensive
I'm done.
now than it was with cable. It's
Yeah, I'm
fucking
done.
crazy.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm signing off.
yeah.
So,
Did you watch
and
Disclosure Day yet?
my wife did. I had no like desire to
Yeah,
watch it. I pretty much deduced what it was
yeah.
going to be about and why I wouldn't want to why I wouldn't want to watch it. And a lot of the people who did see it, whose opinion I respect, was like, yeah, it's not really all that. I was like, all right, cool, confirmed. I don't need
It
to watch
wasn't a
it.
bad movie. It's just like propaganda.
Well, I started to watch it because the wife really like, I don't know why the bug bit her, but she was like, I really want to watch it. I really want. So we sailed the seven seas. She started she wanted to watch it. We started watching it, and probably like 20 minutes in, I was like, I had like glaring questions that was kind of like defeating the whole purpose of the
Yeah,
movie. She's like, shut up and just let me watch this.
yeah,
And so probably 45 minutes into it, I fell asleep.
yeah. It's
And I didn't end up finishing it.
yeah,
And then at the end, I asked her, I was like I woke up and I was like, oh, so, what happened? Did so and so, what was the issue with the device and whatnot? And she was like, yeah, it kind of just ended. I didn't
the
really
end was
like the
so
ending.
stupid. It was so
I was like,
stupid.
well, case in point, it sounds like my suspicions were proven correct.
He's an agent of the state. Steven Spielberg, fucking agent of
I'm
the
I'm not
state.
convinced he's not.
Yeah,
He has yet to convince me
yeah.
otherwise. Yeah, so fuck him.
All right. Well,
So there
we'll
was
get
that one
done
and
so you
Backrooms
can.
though. You had recommended.
Backrooms
Hey,
was
you had
good.
recommended Backrooms. I liked it. I
It was
really did.
good. I thought
I
it was
watched it with
good.
the wife.
I like that they gave that guy a chance to make a movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and they killed off that main character out of like kind of nowhere with his own like
Yeah,
mind demon. I thought it was super cool, and I was
yeah,
like, when's the psychiatrist or psychologist gonna get wrapped into here? And then when she did, I was like,
yeah,
oh, that's not how I expected that to go. It was
yeah.
it was it was
And I
creepy. It
like
was
that there
very cool.
was no real like Like, there was an ending, but there wasn't because they didn't figure anything out.
Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't like a
there's just
resolution.
we
Like it
have there
wasn't.
was
Yeah,
no resolution whatsoever, which was the same with Crimes of the Future. There's, like, no resolution whatsoever. Like, it's kind of left up to you to decide what the fuck is going on, you know?
yeah, yeah. I took the with your recommendation. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try out the back rooms. You know,
Yeah.
I had been waiting, and I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it. It was definitely like one of those. I see why people are like that one and Obsession. Why people are like interested in watching it more and more. I'm not watching the Odyssey. A
No,
bunch of people are talked about it. I was like,
no,
yeah, not even gonna bother.
no,
Even on stream, even on pirating,
no.
I'm not gonna fucking
Not
watch
wasting
that.
my
So
time on that bullshit.
exactly, I'm never gonna get those 2 hours, 3 hours
No,
back. I'm not gonna expend them on that. So
not interested.
yeah, exactly. But it's always a pleasure. It's always
Yep,
productive.
always.
And if this produced nothing else, it's other than fear for those that have not
Hey,
invested
if one
in.
person listening to this goes out and buys some gold, silver, or Bitcoin, I'm happy with the resolution on that.
I agree. Here to that. I will
Yep.
drink to that.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. Skull, Slange, salute, whatever language you prefer. As always, guys, it's conversation. Don't kill the messenger.
All right.